Hello everyone, and welcome back to Fleets Random Ramblings 75. Yeah, 75 ramblings. It will never ever cease to amaze me that I still have people who will turn up and watch me ramble. And we've been going 75 weeks now, back to back. It's amazing. Awesome, and I can't thank all of you enough for it. Genuinely, I can't. It's insane, and it genuinely it's amazing. So yeah, as per usual, ramblings, you all know it, you all love it. So, without further ado, we should probably get stuck in. The only last thing I need to do now is... There we go. So, how do I use notes to go live? Oh, excuse me. I am still working on some automation. But I have to do all of it manually. Right now. So that's that. Let me just check that StreamerBot is running. Okay, let me just do question test. Okay, so let me just oh yes, I had to. My audio is a bit low. Well, yeah, I had to turn my mic gain down a little bit because it was for some reason deafening people. There we go. Now that should be back to normal. Hopefully, fingers crossed. Everything should now be back to what you used to. And let me now bring in... Well, we are rapidly closing in on the end of... We are actually rapidly closing in on the actual end of Ramblings in the Dry Dock. Damn, it's actually getting close now. Wow. Bit of a.
I was promised war crimes.
No, that was never on the docket. Anyway, so.
Would you lie to me?
Yes, I would.
Hi, Fleet. I'm going to be muted until I get out of work, which shouldn't be that long.
Right. Okay,
you shouldn't have been doing the work to begin with.
Yeah, I'll get into that when we get into Runon's rant section, which, we'll be in roughly...
That's becoming a thing now. I've forgotten about that, yeah.
Yes. Yeah, which will occur in roughly 1 hour. Dr. Clark, if you missed it, my foreman was 3 hours late and still has not given me or my coworker the necessary safety paperwork to sign before we're supposed to start any work. So guess what I've been doing all day?
Not doing any work?
Nothing?
Effectively,
Nothing?
yes. I'll be back.
Right.
Why is there an ability to unmute music?
Don't. Just don't. There should be no music in here.
Right. Actually no. It's because when you're in Theatre at Sea, before something is started, it has music.
Oh yes, that. I always have it muted.
Oh good lord! It actually it gives the fleet its own BGM.
Hey.
And I will say this: it might improve the quality.
Hey. What's the other about?
There's nothing. There shouldn't be anything currently, but.
Right.
Well, it is. If you unmute the music, you'll hear it. It's kind of like a sort of soft drum beat, maybe more,
Just some drums, a little bit of sort of modern funky jazz.
Oh yeah, the theatre at sea.
Yeah.
Yeah, the theatre at sea background music. Yeah, I have my own background music on usually for ramblings. Some non-copyrighted music that I just have in the background that's nice and chill. Because one thing I found is that I just I make content that I like to listen to because I do like to listen to my own work occasionally.
Well, yeah, it makes sense. If you didn't like it and it was awful, well, then that has its own problems.
Wait, old buddy, old friend, old pal.
Yes.
I hate to break it to you, but you might want to boost the volume of that music because I have never, ever heard it on any of your streams or recordings.
To be fair, it's more for my benefit more than anything else.
Mm.
It's because
Yeah, to be fair, and it's all, yeah.
Right, but Fleet, have you ever considered 24-hour non-copyrighted sleeping on a B-29 background sounds?
Right. So, without further ado, we have Patreon
Muscolini.
questions to get through. We have Patreon questions to get through before we can get to everything else. So let's actually get on and do that. So, Timu Locker, for what World War II era warship machine spirit would describe you the most? Only ships from navies that were active are allowed. Machine spirit for me. World War II. That is...
Burn.
No. That is actually... Hang on, I need to go and just very quickly. Someone is bothering me. I'll be back in 2 seconds after I've caved a face in. While I'm doing that, why don't you all discuss the machine spirits you would like to be?
I should make a new station.
He thinks he can cave someone's face in, so we're all gonna be calling the hospital now, or to wait for when he gets back.
Let's wait until the screaming.
I believe his target is going to be somebody call an ambulance, but not for me. If I have to take a stab at this question, I'm going to say USS Vulcan. Yeah, I'm just going to go with Vulcan.
It's a machine spirit that's on Earth currently.
No, during World War II.
During World War II.
It has to be a machine spirit from a ship from World War II.
Was Vulcan active for World War II? Or was Vulcan active in the 50s?
What, AR-5 are you referring to, or?
The
repair ship. Yeah, she was in commission 1941.
That's my answer.
What even is the question?
Honestly,
Which ship
and it
from World
looks
War II represents us best as it's a machine spirit? Which machine spirit is closest to us? And Fleet has apparently gone away saying he was going to cave someone's face in, but I presume that's actually going to happen to him because we've all seen Fleet's fighting styles. It's, you know, wafting hands in front of him going, no, 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 no!
Let's be real. It's Fleet. He will cave someone's skull in. Just pop with his fists. Like, have you ever seen the sumo wrestlers sit on people?
Now listen here.
That's
I
a
think you
bit
were meant
cruel.
to hear this, Fleet.
And that's kind of insulting to sumo because, let's be honest, Fleet's a failed sumo. He hasn't put on enough weight.
Now listen here.
Yeah, but Fleet could be a really good sumo.
Alright,
You just have to
that's
respond
enough.
to celibacy.
That's enough. You have
And he gets too much ass for that.
Celibacy.
Yeah.
Plus, honestly,
Anyway,
you know, he'd have to learn to eat proper food and a lot more of it.
Fleet learning to eat the meat. Wiggles eye.
Yeah.
For fuck's sake. Right, so, in terms of what machine spirit or ship I think I would probably be the machine spirit of, that's really tough. Probably one of the Gangats, possibly Marat. Looks big, looks flashy, not really as effective as you think it's going to be, and gets blown up in harbour by Stukas.
Can I do mine? Can I do mine?
Yeah, of course.
HMS Victorious.
No, that's not surprising.
Well, no, think about it. I'm really good at being two-faced. I occasionally pretend to be people I'm not. I'm surprisingly durable, as Regan can attest to. And by the end of everything, I just want to go home and die.
That's a bit too much information.
Foxo, you'd be HMS Foxhound.
You don't
so,
know what
you
she's actually referring. I don't think you know what she's referring to there.
I can
And it's
think
not
of-
what you think I'm referring
I can
to.
think of 3 possibilities. All of them are a little bit off kilter. And only
Probably all of them are wrong.
And Victorious fits even better.
Wait,
Because
Why?
I have
Why-
poor health
why-
after the
why-
war.
Mhm.
Why am I the one that has to attest to Foxo's durability?
Right, so, Brandon Larson
Moving
asks,
Look, in nice way, what you 3 get up to is entirely up to the 3 of you.
Hello, Richelieu.
thank God. Rishi's here. I need to bring him up. Sorry, I keep forgetting. Because the 2 Rishis, and I keep forgetting which is which.
Well, yeah, you've got. Well, technically speaking, there's 4. You've got Richelieu, Jean Bart, Clemenceau, Gascon.
No, I'm.
Alsace, Lotharingian.
No, but Alsace is an Alsace class. So
Yeah, but they were Richelieus with a different coat of paint,
People,
let's
can
be
we
real.
get
no, they
back on
weren't.
topic,
They were quite
please?
significantly bigger.
They were all Frenchies, they're all shite.
Actually, Alsace
That is
probably
true.
were pretty
Can we
reasonable,
get back
honestly.
on topic, please, people. I have things to get through.
No.
Yeah.
And
What
we
you see, the
actually
thing is-
don't.
The point of this is that, is there really a topic to get onto? Because it is called Random Ramblings, not Topic Ramblings.
Yes, but it's also
random
my show,
topics.
and I can dictate the format.
Mm.
And I am going to
Indeed.
dictate the format, so I have questions to answer.
Yeah.
Brandon Larson on page.
So you're taking
Just
something that
go.
was proving, you're taking a successful format and you're changing it for no apparent reason.
No, I'm sticking to the same format. I want to get through the Patreon questions.
but it
Please.
used to be
quick question,
random.
quick
Get
question.
through the
What's the
Patreon.
Gascons meant to be?
Can we
Which
table
designs
this,
with the Gascons?
please, for a minute, while we
No,
get
'cause
through the
I
Patreon
I should
questions
remember
people
this.
paid
I
to
need-
ask?
Okay, give me a second. Which one's the Gascon?
Gascon and Clemenceau were the 3rd and 4th ships of the Richelieu class, with the changed layout to be 1 turret fore, 1 turret aft. They also moved the secondary battery around, sticking
Why?
two of the guns forward, 2 of the triple turrets forward, and 1 turret aft.
Why is my
on
volume
most of
suddenly
the
so
designs.
quiet?
No, they're actual real ships. They're not WoW's creations.
Yeah, no, they were actual real design.
She
yeah,
was.
a
Her
full-blown real
materials were
design.
being prepared. Her materials were being prepared as we start building when the Germans
Fleet's like
invade.
25% of the volume.
How's
But
that?
why would they? But why would they change the turret around? Because I thought the twin turrets, the quad turrets at the front was like the Richelieu's main thing.
It was to
You're taking
more
a successful
homogenize
format
the
and you're
coverage
cha-
of the secondary
start
and
building
when the more or less.
Still dead quiet.
Okay, so it
Yeah.
reduced the efficiency of the Citadel protection at the cost of.
It was one of
Okay.
those scenarios where they had a bright idea.
To be fair, honestly,
oh,
it doesn't seem the worst
just
of bright ideas.
No, it's not, but it's basically a case of why did you go for the arrangement in the first place? To give you maximum protection for if you're having to use your primary weaponry and primary defense, or primary firepower. And now you've had an idea, which is if we put this out, it gives us a better layout for our secondaries, but it does compromise our primary.
Honestly, I would have loved to actually see one of them being finished in that layout, because A, it would be just visually quite interesting and almost unique, and B, to actually see if it managed to get up to anything would have been interesting.
Wait, so with
No
that
wonder
quad
it's dropped
turret-
itself. No wonder it's dropped itself
Yep, that's much better,
way
yep.
down. There we go. That wasn't part of the
Okay.
plan. There we go. I think I fixed it.
So could the Richelieus do
No,
half salvo
no,
firing with
no,
Falcon's
fuck.
turret?
No, Foxo, I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to stop you there. We have to get moving. We can get back to this discussion.
They could.
Okay.
But you say we have to get back to this later, but no, it's not going to be gotten back to.
Jean Bart did the half salvo firing at Casablanca.
Brandon Larson asks, question 1. What are 30 naval vessels from the age of sail to the present day that you, the full panel ideally, would have turned into museum ships? You have to pick 5 for the US, UK, Spain, Germany, France, and Japan, respectively. Okay, age of sail till the present day. Okay, so So for me, so if we each have to pick 5, okay, for the US, CSS Virginia, USS New Ironsides, the original battleship Iowa, the USS Texas, the original one, so that's all 5 of my ships for the US. For the UK, it would have been Inflexible, HMS Monarch, the Monitor Erebus, the battle cruiser Tiger, and the carrier HMS Argus. For Spain, it would have been all 3 of the Hispanias, the heavy cruiser Canarias.
Are we doing our own personal ones,
Yes.
or are you doing this for the whole group?
No, this is personal. So this is my. Actually, no, never mind. Scratch that for Spain.
Okay.
One of the Hispanias, Canarias, and one each of the 3 classes of Spanish light cruiser built between the end of World War I and the outbreak of the Spanish Civil War. For Germany, Scharnhorst, Baden, De Flinger, Blucher, the original Blucher. Scharnhorst, Baden, De Flinger, Blucher, and then the original Scharnhorst, the armoured cruiser. France, Bern, Hoche, Britannia, a Clemenceau class aircraft carrier, and the Gustav Zed experimental submarine. And for Japan, it's Yamato, Kongo, Kawachi, Izumo, and come on, name escapes me. Kuma. That's my ships.
For the UK, I'm gonna go with the HMS Royal Charles, so that she, in her full glory, can sit neatly in the harbour of Amsterdam.
That's actually something I stand behind.
Oh.
Anything mine?
Of course.
So for the Royal Navy, it's HMS Conqueror, HMS Conqueror, HMS Conqueror, HMS Conqueror, and HMS Vanguard.
Wait, Conqueror the ironclad?
HMS Conqueror 1750. Sorry,
Oh.
HMS Conqueror 1745, which is an 8-gun fire ship that was captured off the French. Because captured off the French. Then you got HMS Conqueror 1855, which was a 101-gun first rate, who I think was at the Battle of Trafalgar? No. I'm thinking of the wrong Conqueror. Yeah, because she was the screw-propelled one, and she was one of the first screw-propelled warships. Then it would be HMS Conqueror of the Caledonia class, who was converted to a full steam power plant, which would just be cool to have around. Because I don't think there is any of the converted ships still lying around anymore. I could be wrong. And the last of the Conquerors would be HMS Conqueror S-48, who was a Churchill-class nuclear attack submarine. And she has the battle honor of being the only nuclear submarine to fire her weapons and sink some in anger, if I remember correctly.
She has the honor of being the only submarine, period, post-war. Well, no. Sorry, there's also a Pakistani submarine that has the honor of firing
hence I
its
said
weapons.
nuclear.
True.
And then HMS Vanguard, because Britain needs a battleship. Now, for the Japanese, let's see. I shall do the Americans first. First things first, keep around Kitty Hawk. What other American ships actually matter? Because all the good ones are preserved already.
You could probably preserve one of these other standards. Something like California or something probably could work well.
No,
and
it's
her
gonna
Pearl
sound
Harbor.
strange, but a batch 1 Arleigh I don't care which one. I
Yeah,
want an original Arleigh to be a museum.
honestly, that's probably not a bad idea, and honestly, funnily enough, probably
Because
something that
they're
might
what,
actually happen.
40 plus years old now, the batch ones?
Yeah, they are getting on a bit.
Yep.
And a C cube, because C cube,
Mm,
massive forehead, it's just a funny shape design. Next. Okay, quick question. Would HMS President count... No, would USS President count as a Royal Navy or a US Navy ship to preserve?
depends when you nab her.
Okay. Her as USS President to be preserved. And then, I don't know, preserve one of the Taiwanese Gatos. What other nations was it? Japan and... Was it just Japan? Hello?
We don't worry, you're still here.
I said, is it... What's the
Yeah,
nations?
I honestly don't remember.
Fleet?
Germany, US, UK, Japan.
US, UK, Spain.
Spain?
Yeah, US, UK, Spain, Germany, France, Japan.
Okay, so... I don't know enough about Spanish navies. So now it's just Japan, France, and Germany. You know, the one for Spain I would want would be Santissima Trinidad.
That's not a bad pick.
Because a 4-decker.
You could also
What does a 4-decker looks like?
you could also nab one of the Spanish armored cruisers with 11-inch guns, and also
Nah.
and
So,
also
Santissima Trinidad is just the special one because she was one of the... Wasn't she like the only 4-decker? Or her class was the only 4-deckers?
One ship I would suggest potentially for Foxo, either Balearis or Canaris.
These ships, I don't
basically-
know enough about
they're
them
to-
to preserve
they're-
them.
they're county.
We're
No,
totally
no,
not county. We're
Yeah.
totally not county class.
their counties not
Destructor.
their counties fitted with every single thing of the for but not with that the counties were for but not with fitted with. It's basically the counties.
Okay,
ideal-
can I get on? Like I said, I don't know enough about them to answer that question.
Fair enough.
But let's see, for the Germans, honestly,
Sorry.
I would want to. I would want to. It's gonna sound strange, but one of the Hanseatic cogs.
Ooh, that's a good pick.
Fair.
That's a very good pick.
Like the one with the Jesus name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no,
Jesus of Lubeck.
No, Jesus
Jesus
of
of
Lubeck
Lubeck.
wasn't
Yes,
a cog.
yes.
She was a galleon. She was a large and impressive
No.
galleon.
The galleon was named after a cog because it was a very famous cog. The galleon was named after.
Cog. Just can't. I love the cog. Praise be to the cog.
So the cog. Honestly, I would just want some of the barks that the North Germans had. Some of the barks, the galley, a Baltic galley. Oh, what are they called? It's like the brigs that specifically operated in coastal waters. Like the four-masted brigs that still had the oar mount.
Mhm.
Ah.
Hmm.
Clark, do you know what they're called? Please remember. Is it brigantine? I don't know. But yeah, sort of anything North German, pre-ironclad, very much yes for the Germans.
Hmm.
The Japanese, that simple. That's 5 ships from the Meiji Restoration. Specifically, at least one of the steam-powered conversions for the junks, who were just very interesting ship designs. And the French? Oh, the French is easy.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's it. It is the Brigantine.
Well
Yes, thank you. The French? Right. I'd want to save Danton. Because Fleet's infected me with a virus and the Dantons don't look that bad.
Wow. Of all the
They're
people
ugly.
I expected to actually say that, you are the Is it because we shared a brain cell yesterday with the whole, you know, like we had a shared brain cell moment, if you recall.
Yes, but it's also more of one of those cases of they look good in a way a sci-fi monster looks good.
Honestly, yeah.
Or they look good in the same way as Xenomorph does.
Mm-hmm.
It's very much that sort of.
You can't say
very
why
alien in design.
You can't say why it looks right or why you like it, but you just do.
Yeah, it's sort of different.
Yeah.
And then Le Terrible, the destroyer.
Oh, very nice, very good.
Le Terrible.
Yes, I know it's
That
a
one.
terrible pick.
No.
Actually, it's a great pick, though. Fastest destroyer still, I think. Does anyone know how much Timmerman went? The turbine gearing? Was it 43?
Yeah, a lot of the French Contratorpilleers were high 30s, and I think the last two classes pushed it past 40 knots.
I think it was 41.
Uh,
But does it count as French for one of the Crusader galleys? From
Probably.
stuff like the Knights Templars and the Knights of Malta, who were French holy orders. Just because the Crusader warships of that time period were just...
Pretty sure it would be Provence then. Like, more likely, I think.
Isn't Provence a part of France? So
It was not back then, I think. I think
no,
Provence
I
was
thought it would be, because if you look
or
at
maybe
the
it was a
Crusades,
vessel. I don't remember anymore.
It's what, because Provence is the duchy that's got Maine. No, the duchy that's based
No,
out of
Maine is,
Marseille.
Provence is the south. Maine is more in the north, I think.
Yeah, because it's the one that's borders. It's the Alpine border, Provence, isn't it?
I don't remember, but sure.
Because it's Provence and Savoy. But yeah, last two, I'd want to see Rishi preserved.
Definitely.
And it's gonna sound strange. But I would want to see one of the Norman Frankified longboats preserved that the Normans used. Purely because they had a form of fully rigged up longboat that was significantly larger than their Scandinavian counterparts. And as far as I'm preserved, there isn't any of those preserved, unlike the several preserved longboats. Anyway, that's me done. Next question.
Anyone else have anything they want to say?
Well, I've already done an entire video about what I would like to see preserved, but the one thing I will add in is something you all forgot, and that's USS Independence.
Also, for goodness sake, will one member of the panel please preserve Warspite?
No.
The first American ship of the line.
Oh yeah, oh.
USS Independence.
Funny old girl, wasn't she?
Which even the US, even Americans tend to forget about. She was actually a cool ship and did all sorts of interesting things.
Very good for showing the flag, wasn't she?
And she was also a very useful vessel for that actually the Americans used for training up their future generation of officers. If you look at the officers who commanded their navy during the Civil War, and you can trace all of them back to lieutenants in terms of their junior service.
So, last Patreon question.
Before we move, whoa! Nice shooting, Tex. The question was, which ship would we preserve?
Yes, basically.
Yes, basically, which 30 ships would you preserve?
Which 30 ships?
But you only have to give one.
Done a whole video. I've done a whole video about it, so I just added in one.
Yeah, just give
one. And I'm
one.
not mentioning Warfight because I'm going to put a target on Fleet's back. You know.
Enterprise or Sarah. Pick one. I don't care which, but say preferably. I have a slight bias towards Sarah from an engineering perspective, but I prefer Enterprise from a history and a she was there perspective.
35.
No, there you go. There's my answer.
Right. So, last Patreon question before we get to the flip-flop between YouTube and Discord. Brandon Larson, what is the panel's top 3 favourite naval aircraft from the 1960s onwards to the present day? Well, for me, it's relatively straightforward. I like the Crusader. I like the... I have a soft spot for the Vigilante. The very funny supersonic carrier-based nuclear bomber the Americans operated. And then my actual favourite, and this is probably going to get me killed, is honestly, I really, really like the Rafale. I just do. I think it looks neat. Canards on a carrier. I think it's neat. I'll batten down the hatches.
I'm going to go with...
The Americans can't be rude about them anymore. The Americans just can't be rude about canards anymore. They just can't.
Yes, we can.
What's the question?
Speak for the Americans.
The question was, what is
your 3 favorite aircraft?
No. 3 favorite naval aircraft.
1960.
Naval aircraft from the 1960s onwards to the present day.
Fair enough. I'm going to posit Phantom, Tomcat, and then the E2 family.
Oh, come on, that's
the Hawkeye /
That's very basic, but fair enough.
So, my list is B-29.
Although, technically, well, they didn't say carrier base, they said naval. And some B-29s, during the latter years of their service, did perform maritime patrol.
Exactly. But I was more thinking about the B-29s earmarked for USS United States.
No. The USS United States was never going to carry B-29s. She would have carried something probably built specifically for her.
Sorry, I'm being nice to saying nice things to my pool. Because he doesn't understand this, and all this stuff he keeps hearing about all these French things being beautiful. He's feeling overdosed on francophone.
I am many things.
You're cutting out. You're cutting out, Runon.
You are.
You were going murder toaster. Right. Brandon Larson has now officially changed the thing to carrier-based naval planes.
Well, I'll just do my 3 because that's easy. I'm going to just do 3 from the V section because I like so many, and of course I'm doing key aircraft, but I'll just do 3 from the Vs. Vigilante, Vixen, and Viking.
Ooh.
I was going to go with Sea Vixen, Buccaneer, and also actually Poseidon mentioned it, but I actually do quite like the Fairleigh Gannet.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
like the US stuff is interesting and all, but for as interesting as it is, it almost feels overhyped.
Sorry, I'm just currently
and also,
up my Poodle trying to get his toys back.
I'm not aware of any US plane that had the sheer level of audacity to do what the Buccaneers did.
Buccaneer do what they do, I guess, because they got to do it.
Yes. Can I get the altitude meter into negatives?
Yeah.
What do you mean by
That
that?
is because
It's
Royal
fine.
Fleet Air Arm pilots are absolutely
So,
shit.
Yep.
so it has to be carrier aircraft.
No, naval aircraft. They don't have to be carrier aircraft. They have
Well,
to be.
it specify that they have to be carrier aircraft.
No, it
What's
wasn't.
overhyped, Knight? It now is. Like, Brandon Lawson explicitly said, it's my question, can I change it to be explicitly carrier-based naval aircraft?
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, yeah, I guess they've changed
Because
it now,
that was kind of, you know, what the whole point of the question was, of more meant to be that than anything else.
Well, they've changed it, so that's, I guess, what it
Poodle
is.
shadowboxing.
So I can't use the B-29.
No.
Damn it.
No.
So 1960s onwards.
What is a Buccaneer aircraft? The S2 Buccaneer is, well, and S1 to a degree, but S2 is the better one,
Fuck.
is the foremost Royal Navy strike aircraft ever launched from a carrier.
It is a plane whose pilots are allergic at flying anything above 1 foot from the deck.
There's an
1
old
foot?
joke.
Good God, man! Do you want to give them a nosebleed from altitude?
There's an old joke. I met a Buccaneer pilot at a pub once. The poor man, the bar still were giving him altitude sickness.
Hey.
So, Buccaneers,
Buck.
Phantoms,
Mm,
and the Harriers.
whoosh, it's the Phantom.
Just because, have you ever looked
Harrier is a
directly
good
straight
place.
at the cockpit of a Harrier as it takes off vertically? It doesn't look like it's flying, it looks like it's T-posing at you.
I guess you could say it's asserting dominance. Wait!
Yeah, seriously, because when I was at Duxford, they had them taking off, and it looked like someone had grabbed it with a gravity gun and was moving it upwards.
It's just going.
It didn't look like it was flying.
Foxo, it's just going. It is going, that's it.
Yeah.
It's going. It's just going. There is nothing we can do. It is just going.
It was like a physics glitch in a Bethesda game.
I have to go now. My planet needs me.
No, it's like Texan Marines every time there's a problem in Texas.
Ay.
Let's disappear.
We have.
But don't you know the Elder Squirrel's told of its return?
Oh, we have fun here. We do have
Anyway,
fun here.
anyone else want to answer?
Yeah, anyone else got 3 carrier aircraft from the 60s onwards they'd like to say are their favourites?
I'm too unfamiliar with the topic, so no.
Fair enough.
I would ask Foxo if she's going to install a mod in her Skyrim run that replaces all of the dragons with Harriers.
Unfortunately, that's broken currently, because that's an actual thing.
I was going to say, don't
Yeah, so
tempt
that
her.
implies that she not only such a mod exists, but she has it installed.
But last time I used it, the Flarius flap their wings like a
The
dragon.
Flarius, ah yes, the well-known combination of the biological organism and a harrier, the Flarier.
Well, I'm sorry, but what do you call a Harrier that flaps its wings?
Basically that. Oh, we have
Or something
fun.
like that, yeah.
We have fun here. Alright, so, okay, let's start, shall
To be
we?
fair, Nick, I do like the F-14 Tomcat, just to quickly
The
mention
thing is,
the numbers,
they're
but
not really
they
overhyped.
do get a bit overhyped.
They're not really
No, they are.
Eh,
A lot of US aviation's overhyped.
I would disagree. If it is as good as it says on the tin, then saying it's as good as it isn't really overhyping it.
The F-14
yes.
are overhyped, but the trouble is it's when people sort of imagined they could take on things like an F-22 today, and you're sort of going, no.
Well,
it's
that's
it's what the public have caused for them, which is why
It's
the
not.
US
Let's put it
military
this way,
has done is not overhyped.
The trouble is, there's a level which is sometimes it's going to sound strange. It's the fanboys that come after that sometimes cause the trouble, not the people actually doing the aircraft.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
There again, there are the people who talk about the King George V 14-inch gun and saying how it was the best gun of World War II, and I look at them and go, okay, there are occasional accusations because I spent half my life correcting some of the myths about the Royal Navy that I'm a T-Boo. The reason I will never believe I'm a T-Boo is because you exist in the world and claim the 14-inch gun was the best gun, bar none, of World War II.
Yep, I do agree, Steak. While I like that film, Top Gun really didn't help the fanboy nature of, their 14.
Right. It's more of the fact that people forget the early years of the F-14.
Mm.
When it was top of the world, if you could fly it, but you had a 7% chance of being able to fly it.
Yeah.
That's how we have good pilots if the plane itself acts as a natural selector for them.
No, it wasn't so much that, it was more just getting it off the ground.
It was more the fact that getting out the maintenance shops without breaking having to go back in.
Hangar Queen.
Mm-hmm.
So, starting on Discord, Typical Gunnery Officer asks, do you think either the Mirage 3
good God, he's already ripped a hole in the toy.
or the
You do
Draken
it so quickly.
is better than the Phantom?
This is
Horses
literally
for
a super
courses.
tough toy.
Honestly, yeah, they're all aircraft of a similar generation, made by different air forces to perform a very similar role. Basically, the
One's
entry level.
essentially a strike fighter, one's a dedicated interceptor.
Yeah, the Mirage. Yeah, it's just it's not really equivalent. Okay, so YouTube question. Meow. Wrong one.
Oh, Lord. No, you're not getting this one back.
1931 to Foxo and Dragon. Thoughts on the 3 new Eagle Union ships announced?
I like them. In particular, I actually find it annoying that people are wanting USS Franklin to be a depressed ship that has no hope for the future and wants to be covered in various other issues.
Oh.
I am entirely against because they've painted her. Currently in Azure Lane, she is painted as what is known as a Gairu. So basically, very flirtatious, very boisterous in that regard.
Am I free to post them in the chat?
As long as
Yes.
as long as they don't break the rules, which I'm just needing, which is why basically make sure there's no things that would normally get it banned from Weeb Corner.
Let me check first.
Yeah, that's what.
Or
That's
just
what I
send it
said,
to
basically
me.
make
Yeah,
sure.
run it by the actual mod
yeah.
in the chat. Who
Don't post
Send it-
any of
Will
the
do,
skins
will
for
do.
them.
Send it to Cyclic. Get
So-
Cyclic to check.
No, we literally.
No.
We literally
I-
have guys
I-
here.
No,
volunteer
no, I'm not
Cyclic.
suicidal.
Let's go to piss
not
him off
suicidal.
so much.
I'm
Anyway,
pretty sure
so
Santa Fe wouldn't be allowed, but Franklin might be.
yeah.
But then again, probably not actually looking at her design.
But
It should be fun, and they look good.
okay.
It'll be interesting to see who the
It's typical Gunnery
fourth
Officer.
member
Why?
is overall.
Okay, I have. There's a few questions that you.
Oh,
I
no.
just. It's not.
Right. Just going to point out, Gunner Officer, very quickly. I'm going to skip out a moment. The Centurion is the Centurion Action 10 the best variant of the Centurion?
It's not even a variant.
Please look at what the Centurion Action 10 actually is.
Not in War.
No.
Not in
So
not
that
in World of
question-
Tanks. What it actually is.
Man,
So, right, back to question one.
Anyway, so
can I
question
run
two.
about what the Centurion Action X is?
No, we'll get to it. We will get to it. Gunnery Officer asks, question 2, and you'll forgive me here, I'm gonna wham this one in one go because it's fairly straightforward. Would you call the angled right flight deck refitted Audacious class super carriers? Do you think they're more efficient in terms of flight operations than the Midway refit, the Forestals, and the Kitty Hawks?
Midways, potentially.
No.
Like, that's a three-part
Oh.
thing there.
Oh.
Like, later on, definitely not.
Oh.
No.
No, yeah.
Even I'm sorry, even with the midways, it's like in the early period, yes, but once the midways start to get thick with 2 Cs, their capability for efficiency in flight ops goes way up. Yes, they become rolling buggers at the best of times, but their raw efficiency in terms of flight ops leaves Audacious in the dust.
This is true. Fleet did indeed miss a question already.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
Fleet,
Yes, you
please
did.
explain why you started with Gunnery Officer question 2 instead of Gunnery Officer question 1 then.
No, we did question 1.
Then...
But I did miss a question. But I did miss a question.
How would you design a 40k ship from the Imperium of Man if you're given carte blanche in terms of current doctrine? That was before Gunnery Officer question.
I know. Just look, roll with me here.
Says Mr. I don't miss questions.
No, I never said I don't miss
Is
questions.
Fleet
Yes,
censoring
you did.
his questions?
it's
Yes,
not.
you did.
It's not.
Is Fleet censoring the questions?
No, what I said is I don't skip questions. Missing questions, that's just par for the course. It happens. I don't intend to do it, but, well, I'm me. It happens. But I don't skip questions deliberately unless they're completely egregious.
We have you recorded saying you do not skip questions, full stop.
That's what I meant was I don't miss
Yes,
questions.
you did. Oh, this feels like spin. This feels like a politician
moving
caught
on
in
then.
a
It's
lie
not
spinning
spin.
valiantly.
It's not spin. It's just
Spinning.
I said a thing meaning a thing,
Spinning.
and if you've taken it the
I
wrong
mean, you're
way,
creating
then
so much
that's on you.
centrifugal. You're
And
creating so
that's-
much centrifugal force with this spin. You could be powering the entire country at this point.
Or is a JoJo reference.
Moving on. So.
You Queenless of Plus engine, cause damn you're turning, boy.
But very quickly, just to wrap up that question 2 before I get on to the next YouTuber, then back up to Brackman's question. No, the Audacious aren't supercarriers even when refitted. No, they're probably about equivalent with the Midways during the Midway's first and possibly even second refits when it comes to operations efficiency, but when the Midways get their third refit, the Audacious class fall behind. And against the Forestals and the Kitty Hawks, no. It's not even a contest.
Well, you would hope they would be better at flight operations, considering they would come, what? 10 years after, if not more? Yeah, 10, 20 years?
Yeah.
So, next question is from Timu Locker.
When was
Timu Locker, why do you have the rambling zone in your own Discord server? So it's there when I need it. I have prepared everything ahead of time. That is where ramblings will take place after May 21st.
This Timu,
Sorry, May 19th.
A lot of intention between Fleet and his chief technical moderator about the proper venue for ramblings and any other Fleet-related activities for which Fleet is heading. I don't know. Fleet seems to have given you the best answer he's capable of, but it is a discussion on the team on an infrequent basis.
I didn't understand most of what you just said.
did.
Yeah, he sounded like he was inside of a
Basically,
bridge.
Fleet, he knows exactly. He's asked this question multiple times and knows that while you, while she has been your basically main technical moderator, she has repeatedly told you multiple times that any fleet-related streaming and stuff should be done here. But the best answer Fleet's managed to give so far is it's coming, basically.
Well, yeah, because it's still in the dry dock. Because
And also that another point that Runon mentioned was that yes, we never get told. Basically, no one gets told anything by Fleet.
what do you mean? I'm sorry.
I did not make that point in that statement. I made
I
that
thought you
point
did.
previously.
That's what it sounded like.
Not in that statement.
Well, right, Fleet. When the best way to tell when your ramblings are starting is for some of us to check: has Powder Monkey activated?
Are you kidding me? Pings go out for every single one,
Can
and I
confirm
do it
that
all
when
manually.
the ping went, Fleet. The ping went out
Usually
like
I
10
get
minutes
told
after.
this has started because my mum's watching your
I
YouTube
spend
channel.
about 20 minutes prior to the start of the thing getting all the announcements ready on Patreon, on Twitter, on the Discord.
Yeah, and I still
Fleet,
get the message from my mum
sent
first.
Fleet, you sent the ping out 10
Are you-
minutes after Powder Monkey started.
Yeah, because I was getting everything ready beforehand.
Fleet, are you relying on the great Mrs. Clark as your notification for her son
No.
to show up?
No, I am not.
I don't know who that's crueler to. Is it crueler to you or to Dr. Clark?
I mean, if you like, I could all just stop giving you any
Yeesh.
notification at all.
Nothing better.
That-
No, we want proper notification.
No,
I'm
but
doing
what's-
proper
what's
notification.
possible
What
is
more do you want from
She's
me?
now running a bet book
advanced
on how
notice.
late he's going to be for each start.
It's at the
'Cause,
same
right,
sodding time every
she's now-
sodding week.
it's not. It's any time between 5 o'clock and 5:30. Previously, it used to be between 5 and 6:30. It would occur some random period. So you have got better. But overall, there is still a large element of randomness to when the actual start time is.
Yes, because I can't guarantee when
In
I'm going
short
to be home.
fleet,
And
In
my
short
mum is
fleet,
running a
a
literal
king 10
betting book
minutes ahead of
involving
time.
minstrel chocolates for this.
in short fleet,
The person,
a
you know,
10-minute heads up for those that for those who have become regulars on Ramblings would be greatly appreciated.
to be fair, so far I've been close enough that I've won the bag of minstrel chocolates 3 weeks in a row.
To be perfectly frank, I think
So
you
frankly,
are
Fleet-
complaining
Fleet's
about.
Don't be
predictable
frank, be
lateness-
Fleet.
Well, actually,
Fleet's predictable lateness is actually earning me chocolate at this moment. So
You
Also,
are.
to be
I'm
fair,
not necessarily
you are
I'm not
grumbling.
complaining about this.
You are
But,
all
to be fair,
grumbling
Fleet-
in rather aggressive fashion about something that I already put quite a bit of effort into making sure that everything goes out as it should.
Oh yeah. Well,
Yes.
oh no. Some of us, this might be minorly kept from other sources of not being told stuff until. Yes, this is happening. Anyway, moving
There is
on.
passive
quickly
aggression
onward.
in the air.
Not as passive as you think, Santodes.
Anyway, moving swiftly on.
Bonus points to chat if anyone gets that reference.
Brackman asks, how would you design a 40k ship for the Imperium of Man if you were given carte blanche regarding current doctrine? Ooh, Era Indomitus.
Limit switches and relays.
Let me think. So if I'm doing that, how do I call it? I wonder if I can get away with. It's possible.
Start giving me bombardment cannons on standard Imperial vessels. Instead of having the top turret twin macro cannon turret, give me actual full-blown Space Marine bombardment cannons, because they work very well at blowing holes in enemy ships.
Yeah, honestly, I would have the. Honestly, if I'm designing a ship for the Imperium of Man, I'm basically going to take the Emperor class battleship, which is basically a carrier, and just go run it through the scale at 25% increase in size.
Why?
Because I want more. We need more battle carriers to fight the forces of chaos.
What? No, but
Okay.
A, why would you use the Emperor class, which is a fleet command ship, not an actual frontline unit primarily?
I'm taking a Gloriana. I'm just doing that.
I would take a.
But that's
I
all
would-
right.
if I was to take a
Building
battleship,
Gloriana.
I would take a Retribution class at least, because that is designed for ship-to-ship combat.
To be perfectly blunt with
Oh.
you, I literally only said that to get the conversation going because I have no clue what the heck I'm talking about, and it worked.
Point.
Okay.
So you mean
Can I give
okay?
my-
So can I just ask something here? How disrespectful are you of your own listeners? The fact that this is something that they care about. You do bring up you care about it, and then you don't know anything about it.
I know
So,
a limited amount
right.
about 40k.
And so you
Okay,
just don't.
then. Okay, so we have.
Are
the
we going to have to
Apocalypse
start
class,
having
the Emperor
weekly
class,
as
the
the lane
Invincible,
questions
the
and
Nemesis,
Warhammer 40k
Oberon,
questions?
Over my dead
Retribution,
body.
and Vanquisher
Hey, I'm good
as
with
the
that.
current primaries.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Invincible class is literally a meme, which it became a canon thing, by the way, which was the brainchild of one Admiral Kinsher, which is a battleship-scaled vessel with battleship-grade cannons, but has oversized engines and stripped out all the armor it physically could, while still remaining somewhat armored. So, have a guess what these are basically meant to be. But you've then got the Emperor, which is a fleet command ship. You've got the Apocalypse, which is one of the standard but rarer battleships, equipped with as many lance batteries as you could possibly want, and it's got a Nova cannon. You've got the glorious Retribution, which has all of the plasma macro batteries you could want. The Oberon, which is your actual mix of what it does. It's got macro cannons, it's got lancers, it's got plasma macros. Of all the battleships you could choose, And if you then do want an actual battleship that is a battle carrier, at least go for a Vanquisher class, which actually can tend to do this better than some of its other variants. Or you go for the dedicated carrier, which is the Nemesis class, which then still has main guns on the top and bottom. I mean, come on, it's just basic Imperial indoctrination and doctrine protocols. Do not make me have to report you to the Tempestus Scions.
Why would you be reporting them to the Tempestus Scions?
Because they're the fun way to make sure someone disappears.
Barrett, I thought that was just the Inquisition.
I'm going to is a bit too boring.
I'm going to. So, what is the Arleigh Burke of the Imperial Navy?
Probably a Luna class cruiser.
I'm going to go to the Yard, which is most experienced in building Lunas. I'm going to speak to the Fabricator General.
Well, that case,
there's one that has a really good reputation.
You're off to Mars then. If you want to talk, to Big Fabs, you got to talk to. You got to go to Mars because that's where he is.
Well, I don't know.
Not really.
I don't. I Foxo, hang on. I don't know mechanical rank, so I'm just going for whoever's the commandant of a shipyard. Cool, great, awesome. I'm going to sit them down and I'm going to introduce them to the concept of relays and limit switches, and I'm going to cut the crew size and the volume and the hull volume of the Luna class in half by basic 1930s level automation of their reloading systems.
Yeah, but most Lunas have that.
Reloading.
A lot of Lunas have that though.
Right.
And
contrary to popular belief, real auto reloaders are a thing in 40k and are very common. There is indeed the picture where you literally see serfs manhandling shells into cannons. Thankfully, that's not really the case and is basically just the popular media.
No, right.
Okay,
correction.
I will say, though,
that's not the Imperial Navy. That is a Ministorum vessel. And
no, that is also Navy.
They basically can't get their hands on the autoloaders because they refuse to work with the Mechanicus.
I will also point out that it is canonized in Angels of Death as at least a planetary bombardment system. It is incredibly space inefficient, not to mention an absolute waste of crew and the support systems for the crew.
I love that the shells are just massive cartridges.
And to be honest, given that the Imperium of Man solution is not to throw technology at a problem, but to throw manpower at a problem, I feel like it's more than just that one particular weapon system on that one particular Space Marine strike cruiser. And also, from how they refuel their warp drives, that could also be simply automated.
A lot
with
of
telltale lights, and then just have a server.
Right, the whole warp core thing
doesn't like automation,
and it's also a case of the whole reloading the warp drives thing is they can't automate it because they can't turn them off because they don't know how to start them again.
Well, no, they do. They do know how to start them again. It's more of a problem with starting them again causes problems.
Asterix, you're talking about high-end Imperial vessels that can turn them off, or Mechanicuses.
I would say every ship from a cruiser upward definitely can.
Yeah. Again,
even
we're talking Ministorum ships.
I'm talking Navy.
Yeah, so like a lot of really bad accessors when it comes to ships in 40k aren't the Imperial Navy. They're the Ministorum or the System Fleet.
They're tithe vessels, if anything.
Which are the case of the ship's been here because technically, according to his contract, the planetary governor needs a ship to defend the planet.
Mm-hmm.
Or the Ministorum who refuse to work with the Mechanicus.
Essentially, I'm going to be shrinking in the most literal way possible the entire Imperial fleet so I can build more of them.
I don't think that actually would help. I'll be brutally honest. Because, if anything, making these ships smaller has actually just made these ships weaker.
Yeah.
Because now
you must
we can be killed far more easily.
Numbers of ships isn't the issue for the Imperium. They quite literally have
Too many.
just entire systems dedicated to storing warships. It's their 7th and the 8th Black Crusade, which is loot the Imperial refit yards and loot the Imperial
mothball
storage yards.
There's literally one planet, I'm trying to remember its name, but was recanonized recently, which the Sons of Malice came from, where its whole purpose is this has thousands of dead hulks in orbit that you could just make an entire fleet out of these ships.
Yeah, because
and the planet has been bathed in radiation from unprotected reactors because there's just that many ships in orbit.
Yeah, and Abaddon's has had Black Crusades just to capture entire battleships the Imperium has had in storage because they're low on crew in the sector. But yeah,
this would also free up crew. It would free up crew. It would free up resources. Making the ships smaller doesn't just help in hull numbers; it helps in everything else in the logistics string.
Yeah, but it also makes them
I'm
weaker to the threats they're fighting. Because
I'm not losing. I'm not dropping armor. I'm not dropping weapons.
Yeah,
I'm not
a
dropping
lot of weapons.
I'm just reducing the hull volume.
A lot of the weapons in Warhammer do damage based off mass.
Oh yeah, so right, Runon. Put it this way. Ship of 10,000 tons is, theoretically speaking, more durable than a ship of 2,000, right? Even if you gave it somehow managed to give it the same armor profile, just because it's got that more bulk to survive.
That's assuming it has the same proportional subdivision, yes. Yeah. Okay, but they're building. They're building.
Go on.
My argument where they are building.
Finish Fox. Go on, Runon.
My argument is that they are building a Des Moines on 40,000 tons. I want to build a Des Moines on 20,000 tons. That's my argument.
But then you've not made it as survivable.
Yeah, but
because
at that
it no
point,
longer has the sheer mass to survive.
Yeah, because you got to remember, Rory, that if we were talking sane combat, I would agree with you. But the issue is when your opponents are doing things like yeeting asteroids at you.
Or literally their entire ship is a giant asteroid looking at you orcs.
Or I've jumped in several kilometers away from you and I'm smashing into you at 30% the speed of light. Your armor profile doesn't matter. Your mass, though, does. Because specifically, Warhammer, inertial dampening is based off your mass. Which means the larger you are, the more resistant you are to ramming.
Excuse me, I have to butt in quickly because I have to put my serious.
Can I answer for my fleet ship that I wanted to explain?
Of course, but then I have to put my serious hat on for a second.
Right. So, if anyone's heard of the Long Serpent class battle cruiser, which it is a battle cruiser, but it's a cruiser armor scheme on a ship that says battleship. But it's got one very unique thing in the original Battlefield Gothic tabletop. Nova cannons are normally final mount weapons. This thing had 4 to 6 turret mounted Nova cannons.
Very impressive.
Even if it's just to see them return.
They have actually had a slight return, Foxo, but they've reduced that capability.
Yeah, I know, but it's
they now get one Nova cannon, but it is a 360-degree Nova cannon.
Yeah, but if I remember correctly, that's the one where it's one that's been out of service for 7,000 years. Because they figured out because they've got the Nova
And then
cannons.
they've now built after the Gothic War in M41, the 12th Crusade. They
Yeah, but it's the gimped down
basically completely redid the lore. But
because
yes, I'm
they
just explaining what the current lore is.
because they've got the health points of a cruiser in Battlefleet Gothic. And there's a bit of fluff where if you hit those external Nova cannons, the entire ship explodes.
Boom.
So,
It's like it's what got us the Invincibles as well.
Yeah.
So,
go on, Fleet.
Right, very quickly, Knight. Me not knowing things about 40k is not disrespectful to 40k viewers. If me not knowing things is disrespectful, then politely, I'm disrespecting a wide range of fields and hobbies.
I don't think that's what Knight's commenting on there. I think Knight's commenting on the fact that you said something outrageous just to get people talking.
Well, no, I said something that I believed was my opinion on the topic, and that got people talking.
No, you explicitly said, "Oh, I'm saying this because I don't know enough on the topic."
Yes.
To cause people to get talking.
Well, yes.
That's the bit I think Knight is referring to as disrespectful.
How on earth is that disrespectful? I don't know, so I'm going to...
Because you're making a random... It's the way you said it you're making a random statement just to get people talking, even though you know you might be wrong, in a quite extreme way, is where I think that's coming from. DM me all you want, Fleet. No. Like, while I might not entirely agree with how Knight has phrased it,
no,
I at least understand where they are coming from.
I don't want to see that in my chat. If you have something to say it in a better way.
Fair enough, but still...
Moving on.
It's better to be
Moving
said,
on.
even poorly. Go on, then.
People shouldn't be rude about it. In the nicest way, Knight. You don't need to get involved. I'd already picked Fleet up in a jokey way, but I picked Fleet up about it. Because Fleet is working very hard to be very serious on these things. And one of the careful things he wants to do is he wants to get this into a better standing, and he wants to get... And I agree with all that, and I think he's worth it. One of the things you'd learn is you don't want to do that. And let's be honest, as a university lecturer, one of the tricks we teach for seminars is we do chuck stuff in to get a debate going, or we do argue the opposite opinion. But you always have to know your topic to be arguing it from a reasonable position. You always have to... what you say if you don't know is, I don't know, I think this, but I'd like to hear what you will say. And Fleet's getting there. Fleet's very good. But there's no need to be rude about it, etc. And there's no need...
I do agree.
I'd already said it. I'd already done it. We can move on.
Thank you, Dr. Clark.
This is one of the reasons. It's one of the reasons why me or Drac are usually here with Fleet learning, because the easiest place for the easiest people to be able to who can say that to the Fleet is me or Drac, or someone else who's got does it already, because we know where Fleet's coming from. We know what Fleet's trying to do. And we respect him for it. But sometimes he gets into bad old habits.
I'll admit that.
And hence, that's where the comment from me came from. No, you don't do that. But that's because if you don't know, one of the first things you have to say as the host of any program like this is, I don't know.
And I usually do, but on that particular occasion, I kind of foobarred it. But what it doesn't mean...
That's my only problem with that bit.
But there's no need to be rude over it.
And just remember, Fleet, when it comes to Warhammer, you've got two Warhammer nerds with you.
Yeah.
So
no, Drac's not currently here, Minecraft Watcher. It just occasionally Drac does turn up, though.
He does occasionally turn up, sometimes out of the blue, which is shocking. You were going to say something, Ruinon?
Yeah, I am going to put my mod hat on here, and I was driving, so I couldn't watch chat. However, dogpiling, either as to somebody on the panel or somebody in chat, either Discord or YouTube or Twitch when we're on Twitch, I will step in on. I don't have the authority to do it in the dry dock. I do have the authority to do it on Twitch and YouTube. Don't dogpile. If somebody's pointed out the mistake has been pointed out. The mistake has been addressed. Carry on. That's just as a general rule to everybody. I'm just got home. I'm gonna get booted up so I can watch chat and make sure everybody is doing what they should be, and then take questions and comments from chat and bring them forward as I usually do. But as the mod for Fleet, I am gonna say, don't dogpile. As far as I'm concerned, anything that I moderate, whether I phrase it this way or not, Wheaton's law is enforced. Don't be a dick. There are other channels to do that. This is not it. Mod hats off.
So, 9631 on YouTube asks, and I'm actually quite happy to answer this question. For Fleet, what is the best difficulty level to play on Hoi if you struggle with learning stuff? My sister recommended I buy the game, and I have the game. So very simply, normal. Leave it on normal. If you try to play on the easier settings and then work up, you will just get body slammed.
You will learn bad habits.
Yeah. You need to leave it on normal. And just honestly, you need to just struggle through a few games. Don't fall victim to the temptation of playing a big nation. Find yourself a smaller power that you can build up into. A good nation to pick that is actually without too many complicated mechanics is Romania, because they've got a fairly decent focus tree. They're able to pick a few decent paths, but they don't have some of the more complicated mechanics that some of the more modern focus trees have. They're a good nation to learn on.
I like Australia.
Australia?
I would Australia for learning paths.
Yeah,
If you wanted to
Australia's
learn
a good one.
basics, honestly, if you wanted to learn basics, there's two. Italy and Britain. And as much as I despise Italy, Italy is literally the tutorial faction.
Yeah, but
The tutorial is invading
It's
Ethiopia.
old
And
Italy
Britain-
was the good tutorial nation.
But
Yeah.
even New Italy.
New
But
Italy.
Britain also has not had much content ever since the game basically was released, and I'm very annoyed about this, but the United Kingdom doesn't have any advanced mechanics apart from, at most, you're limited in what you're allowed to build as part of the naval treaty.
Yeah,
And that is
Commonwealth.
just a hard limit.
Commonwealth nations. Yeah, RBG's got a point there. The Commonwealth nations are fairly safe as well.
Or just doing that to Germany, they are really
the
overpowered.
problem with that is with the new mechanics towards MIFO builds and basically railroading you into conquest before you're ready. It's not something a new player can manage in the same way you used to.
Not really. Instead of going MIFO builds, you go a recovering economy, and you've got a weaker economy, but you get rid of the effects of MIFO builds.
Yeah, true.
It's sort of one of those games of, do you want to learn it slowly? Or do you want to do it like how I did it and was a trial by fire?
Yes. Foxo did, she... yeah.
She then also looked into the actual base mechanics of it and learned of, oh god, what is Navy?
And then gave that to me. And now I'm like, oh god, Navy is not what I thought it was.
Yeah,
You need basics of Navy.
Navy.
One more advanced bits of Navy.
Yeah. Navy was not what I thought it was.
Hello, Paul.
Yeah, hello, Paul.
Next
Right.
question, Steve?
Yes. And we have plenty.
I would say the other piece of advice I would give for things is whatever level you normally play at, especially when you're relaxed, if you're streaming, play at the level below that. Because streaming, if you're watching the computer system, watching the chat, watching all those things, you will never have be able to put your full attention into it.
Yeah.
So you need to always play at a sort of a level below what you normally play at.
Yeah.
I would also, it's gonna be strange, but there's a couple of good videos on division templates and how land combat works. Watch a couple of those, and you better not do what Fleet did.
Yeah, for ages. I just thought I'd been playing the game for ages. I sort of knew how it worked. I did not.
This isn't anything against Fleet either. Before anyone thinks that. No, like, Fleet genuinely was trying to do things the way he thought. It's why we in some of the games get so annoyed at him. It's a case of, stop saying your stuff's so good, it really isn't, because you think you've understood the base game, and we can see why you've done this.
Because basically, I was operating.
I
I was basically like the Imperium of Man. I was operating on 6-year-old intelligence of what things used to be.
You make some incorrect assumptions about supply.
That as well.
Right, so next question.
I'm just gonna quickly check something.
YouTube Minecraft watcher. I will. So you can't join the actual voice conversation right out the gate. I will link you the invite link for the dry dock in YouTube chat, and you can listen on Discord and chat with others that are in the Discord. The community on Discord is slightly larger.
Very quickly, thank you for reminding me. I have an announcement to make. I have created a new highest Patreon tier. And it is a lot more expensive than the other tiers, but it comes with a special perk. In addition to all of the benefits provided by the Fleet's Fantastic Funder tier, including a Patreon question a week answered first before anyone else's, you, on one Monday a month of your choosing, can be a part of the host panel of Fleet's Random Ramblings. If you graduate to this highest tier.
Yeah.
Monetization!
Yeah! Look,
Please, the crypto scam.
My advice to you, and this is just general gaming advice: play the game without mods first.
Yeah, no mods. You've got to get the basics in Hoi first. You've got to drill them. You've got to drill them into you.
Run a campaign with no mods. Run it through, start to finish, then start modifying the bejesus out of it.
Mm-hmm.
I'd run multiples.
Yeah,
but run at least one campaign vanilla, and then go and add your copies to it.
Run about 2 to 3.
RGB. If I have to buy my way onto Ramblings, I will start charging Fleet for Powder Monkey.
No, it's no. The current host setup and especially some others, are those who are part of the panel or the panels that rotate on and off. It's basically for those who are subscribers or part of the channel who either have something they want to talk about, or I might even also allow a one-off, basically one-off purchase of it for a single month if they want to have something to say for that month, and then do other things. Like, that there are options here.
You can actually set that up on Patreon.
Oh, I think I'll do that as well.
Petchington, if somebody comes on here just to chew Fleet a new asshole, I will politely but firmly show them the door.
I would say that should probably be in the terms of service, but we'll leave that to one side. I think it's
the era of Fleet bashing is over. It was a fun period, but I don't want it back.
There will be the era of malicious Fleet bashing is over.
Yes.
The era of the boys down at the bar Fleet bashing will never end. The sun will never set on that era.
No.
Let me just check. Okay, so I'm gonna make an announcement. Gunnery officer.
Again?
You are excellent, and you do give me a lot of content to work through. However, I am now putting a rule in place. You are free to ask all the questions you want to ask, but I will be cherry-picking from now on. At least during the live ramblings. The rest of your questions will be answered in the catch-up ramblings, because you are asking so many that every second question, or in some cases, questions for ages, are yours. So during the lives, I will be cherry-picking which of your questions I answer. Any I don't get to will be answered in the catch-up ramblings on Friday. Right. So I will get to all your questions, but I also want to give other people a chance to get theirs answered on the actual show rather than the catch-up.
The longest streak is 9 questions in a row by Gunnery Officer.
Yeah.
Before anything else.
So, now that I am home, and I do have the best mic available to me in use, do we want to hear the latest, slightly less aggravated than it was last week, Runon's rant?
Let me just very quickly yeet one of Gunnery Officer's questions into the void, and then we'll get back, and then we will have the Ruinon's rant section.
Which one's this?
Question 3 on Discord. Do you think the US M1A1 Abrams tank couldn't make that record-breaking longest-range tank kill in the Gulf War like the Challenger 2? Do you think the Challenger 2 during the Gulf War had better fire control, crew training, and a tank gun than the M1A1 that was sent there to make that shot? Honestly, it's horses for courses. Give a US crew...
It wasn't a Challenger 2 that made the shot.
It was a Challenger 1, first and foremost, yeah. But even
It was
so...
a Challenger 1.
But even so, give an M1A1 crew that same situation and let them have a chance to have a crack at that shot, chances are they probably would have nailed that tank.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of it too, when you start getting to the extreme the extreme ranges for a given weapon system, to be blatantly honest, while good marksmanship is going to narrow the gap as much as possible, there is a certain amount of luck involved.
Yeah, which is why I would say that at that extreme, that's when the rifling on the barrel becomes actually important.
Yes, and it does, and it doesn't.
At that point, you're looking at the centrifugal force to counteract atmospheric effects.
Problem is, if it's an Abrams firing a dart, that's not going to matter.
It will. Because no matter how well stabilized the dart is, at some point it does start to wobble. It's just not an important factor in battle ranges for armored vehicles. But when you start getting to 4 or 5 kilometers, it becomes a big thing.
Right.
The fins on the fin. Wait, 1 second. The fins on APFSDS shells, modern ones, are actually inclined a little bit, so they actually spin slightly, which helps them. Yes.
Yes, but it's better than being non-spinning. But it's
not. It's good that it spins, but it spins a little bit too fast, maybe in the case of a rifle gun for APFSDS. Something like that.
Yeah.
Right. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of all genders and none at all, I am pleased to present, for the second week in a row, Ruinon's Ranting! Woo!
The second week in a row in which it has been named as such. However, so this Monday, my foreman was 3.5 hours late. Guess what nobody's technically permitted to do until the foreman gets there?
Work.
Yeah, Poseidon, you're not wrong,
he's the
but I also really intrinsically despise being compared to Alex Jones.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, so technically, per OSHA, which for those of you who don't live in the United States or North America, is the American National Workplace Health and Safety Organization, i.e. the federal government, pretty much now requires that you have to fill out something broadly called a task hazard assessment for the given task that you might be working on in a given day. Some workplaces are able to get these genericized because you know that you'll be working on more or less the same thing every day. Ours is not. We have a new one that we have to be filled out every day. Technically, we're supposed to be briefed on it every day, but that never happens. But that's another topic. So with the foreman not there, that means we don't have the iPad, which means that we can't fill out it and we can't sign it. So 6 people sat on their butts for the majority of today.
How is that man still employed?
Technically, I could have gotten fired because I was working without signing the THA, and there would be very little that I could do about it.
I did warn Runon of this.
Yes, but I was bored.
Did you get paid for sitting around doing nothing?
Yeah. Apparently,
Yes.
Runon doesn't
Then why
like
did you
getting paid for sitting around doing nothing.
I'm sorry, you are
It is
getting
one
paid for
piece
sitting
right
around doing nothing. Sit around and do nothing at your boss's expense because the reason you are sitting around doing nothing is not your fault. So please,
Yes, but
do
it
that.
annoys me greatly. I do not handle frustration well.
Also, why do you think Runon fiddles with things so much?
Yes.
It's why. It's
Also,
probably part of the reason why they have such a large Warhammer collection.
Why do you
I can
think?
raise
Why do
my
you
eyebrow
think I
at you.
named Powder
I
Monkey?
knew you would.
It was supposed to save me frustration, not make more. But anyway, and then on top of that, so I came home, as some of you were aware, got lunch, went back, and as I was debating, well, my foreman still hasn't caught up with my coworker to get him to sign the paperwork that he needs to sign. So I'm really not too eager to go back into work because it's about to rain. And why should I walk all the way back into work only to be there for like an hour and then walk all the way back to my car? Well, then our customers field rep comes and calls me and asks me to see if sensors are installed on a floor. Plot twist, they weren't, because he couldn't get a hold of my foreman.
Of course.
And when he calls me, things seem to happen.
You know, I would really, 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 really leverage that. Because that is therein lies the route to foreman firing.
He has put out feelers. Well, essentially, he said, I'm calling you because if I call you, you can look at it and possibly get it done before I have to send a very angry email. And then also in the past, he has quite possibly put out feelers to headhunt me.
Oh, as in to upper management?
Well, as into, well, would you like to come work for my company?
Oh, excellent.
Which has the bonus of being part of a very large European conglomerate.
That's nice.
So, I wouldn't turn it down, but it hasn't gone anywhere so far, and I'm a bit of a grass eater when it comes to stuff like that. Knight, how is he not fired and still working? When you figure that one out, you please let me know, because I can't figure it out either. He is a foreman who looks to be old enough to at least be my much older brother, if not my father, who doesn't know how to read plans. He once tried to convince me that the plan number for a component was the part number for a component, despite the fact that the two numbers take very different formats.
Something nepotism, I believe. I would suspect.
Probably not even
nepotism. I think it's. He is very good at making things look good. The problem is, at a certain point, he runs out of look good ability, and then it all suddenly and rapidly looks like shit. Like we're finding now that we're starting to that the customer is coming and expecting to start things up, and they're finding stuff is missing, miswired, or not installed.
And I assume that's the areas he's worked on basically exclusively.
No, those are the areas that he should be doing a walkthrough before he hands them over to the customer for the customer to do their final checks and startup of the systems. But he doesn't do that because reasons?
How? Genuinely, in the UK, he would be gone. Long gone.
Yes.
In any country aside from the US. Why is it the US rewards incompetence?
It's not rewarding, technically speaking. It's just not caring.
He is able to look good enough to the people who control his position that he is not getting canned. However, I am here, and I tend to not keep my mouth shut when I see people doing something wrong. It is something of a flaw.
That's a flaw now.
And I make noise. I also.
It is a flaw. It is in flaw in your life. It is. Trust me.
Yeah.
I also know how to get things done, so I provide a very stark contrast between how things can be and how things are. And Dr. Clark, were you agreeing with me that it was a flaw, or disagreeing with me that it was a flaw?
Oh, it's a curse I share, and it's a flaw I share, but it's not what it's how'd I put this politely? It's not one I particularly am happy I have. It's just annoying to deal with in life.
Yeah, it's a flaw, not one I want to get rid of, but it's an annoying one nonetheless.
Yes.
Anyway, Runon's rant is over. We may return to our regular ramblings. I'm here every week.
Hey! It's like having a talk show. I suppose this is a talk show, technically, if you want to think about it.
I don't.
It is technically a talk show, now that I think about it.
Yes, how are you just realizing this?
Well, no, I've realised it for ages, I just don't air it very often. On YouTube, Bone Meal Boy asks, are parachute airborne troops still useful? Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
Not in the same way they were. Try to do an opposed landing. It won't go well. It's not like you can parachute over an area that is covered in AAA or an integrated air defense. You won't have a good time. But what you can do is insert a rapid reaction. You can either use it to move a force into an area where logistically you would not be able to put a force normally, so deploy an air mobile force into an area that has no airstrips to take, landing them there normally. And alternatively, you also have the idea that you can put forces in places where there isn't an integrated air defense network. So like the Russians tried to do in southern Ukraine, taking advantage of the swiftness of the war to try and put VDV into southern Ukraine. And successfully...
They tried to end the war in 6 hours.
Yeah, and they tried to also... they succeeded in putting troops at Hostomel. That was a successful operation. But they tried to do a proper full parachute operation in southern Ukraine, and that didn't go so well, because they jumped out over the ocean. And they all they are just...
Things went very badly wrong for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the principle was a sound concept, the execution was less so.
The execution was an execution.
It was, actually, if you want to be completely blunt about it. Yeah, did not go well for them.
I was trying to be smarmy, but okay.
So, next.
Let me have a look. Habit, swoosh. Okay, so, oh my god, the amount of gunnery officer absolutely going ham. Lazy author. Somehow Italy performs so much worse in... I think that's the next question. Yes. So much worse in World War II that Mussolini is ousted from power in 1941. Would the new government join the allies as it did OTL, or would it sign a mostly white peace with Britain and become neutral? Honestly, at that point, you're only
lose North Africa.
The only option. The thing is, if Italy is not with Germany, given how Germany is seeing this conflict play out at that point, I'm sorry, but if it's 1941, the Germans have the strength to batter in from the north. And
yeah, but now they've wasted.
No, they don't.
They don't really, and also they've now wasted a lot of resources on doing that.
Problem is, they don't really have a choice.
They do.
Yeah, they do. If Italy bows out, it's just gonna go, alright, we fucked up. The British can't land and can't take mainland Italy.
Well,
We can't. If our navy's gone, we can't contest the Mediterranean.
The problem you've got is that if Italy is neutral, there's always going to be that spectre hanging over German high command of what if they actually do switch sides.
Yeah, it might do, but there's
it's an easily defendable border.
You're talking about the same border, pretty much, which caused World War One the least mobile front. It's the complete antithesis of an area which they can do their operations in, and it's also one of the few areas which which honestly the Italian armed forces are quite well set up for fighting in.
Are you ready for the 18th battle of the Azonzo River?
It depends. Well,
18th, 19th, 20th, 21st, 22nd, 23rd, 24th, 25th, and 26th probably will add up quite quickly.
Well, I would say that's a little bit simplistic in the way in which that conflict might go.
Let's be real, because 1941. What massive event that changes the course of World War II happens in 1941?
Operation Barbarossa, I am aware. And then, of course, the US entry into the war if Japan still does as it does historically, which it's going to.
So, if you told the Wehrmacht that's preparing to go in on the Soviet Union, that they only think they've only got this window to get the Soviet Union.
To be
Going
fair,
on the
though,
Italians.
for the Wehrmacht, this is almost an advantage, because if the Italians drop out in 1941, then the thing is, how they probably withdraw the forces. They withdraw the forces from North Africa. They don't have to try and sustain there. They don't have to try and help sustain the Italian economy through the war. For the British, it's great because that means the naval forces which were deployed in the Mediterranean can now be freed up to go elsewhere.
Mm-hmm. It depends on whether or not. Depends on whether or not this happens prior to the invasion of Greece and Yugoslavia by the Germans. If it does, then that's fine. If it doesn't, then the Germans are still a little bit stuck down there.
Yeah, but what can the Germans really do with it?
This probably helps the Germans because it weakens the Allied force. Because let's be real, how much of operating a modernized, mechanized armored force do the British and the Americans learn from North Africa?
They do learn a fair bit.
Like, how much do they learn about motorizing their supply?
A
North
lot.
Africa.
A lot.
The use of pipelines for troops in North Africa.
Mm-hmm.
You take those lessons away from the British Army, you've got a much weaker British Army that's going to be attempting. Well, forgive me if I'm wrong, but a lot of the lessons about supplying naval invasions comes from the Brook, I want to say, and the various landings in the North African campaign with small forces.
Well, I would actually say that the Italians will basically be the Italians will basically be promised redemption and possibly the return of some colonies if they probably join.
Yeah, but if the Italians have been shit canned, they're not going to come back in.
Well, if Mussolini,
if the fact that Mussolini has been ousted, it was going that badly in 41, Italy's probably more wanting to try and rebuild. That's how I see it.
No, that is realistically the only way this happens is if the Reggio Marina's at the bottom, and you don't rebuild a navy in a year.
Could be. The loss of the total failure of the Greek campaign, as in they just get pushed out of Albania entirely, would be another way to do it. Because if the Italian army can't even beat the Greeks, and the British aren't even there, at that point it's just.
Which actually very nearly happens.
I know.
Yeah, but it's also important to remember that it wasn't really the German intervention that stopped the Greeks. It was the fact the Greeks had run out of ammunition in the initial phase when they're pushing into southern Albania.
Yeah. The Greeks weren't beaten. They run out of bullets.
Have unexpectedly run short of ammunition. Please, can I borrow 2 boxes until the end of the war, please? Oh dear.
It's like, but jokes aside,
no, it does actually offer an interesting scenario of when you do alternate histories and you do it. Well, what happens if the Greeks don't run out of ammunition? And the territory they're in is an absolute quagmire. So if they're able to supply themselves and hold on to it, then that's not good.
Yep. Right.
That's the choice of it.
Yeah, the problem is it's very difficult to actually imagine what the Italian response would be, because we don't know.
We need to know how they fall first.
Yeah, and yeah. Okay, so the next question is so the next question will be a YouTube question, which is. YouTube Minecraft watcher. What if the World War I German Navy had somehow acquired the QE's blueprint Caliber 2? Would they try to make the Koenigs with 15-inch or 16.5 to creep ahead? The German arms manufacturers were advertising 13.8 and 15-inch guns. the reason and
they were just further behind the development cycle than the British on them.
yeah, just because you have the
They were
blueprints,
advertising it,
yeah,
and just the blueprints don't also necessarily help you.
yeah. And the thing that the German ships have is, yes, they're less well armed than the British ships, but they are usually better protected in terms of raw thickness of armor.
There is a difference in terms of what they want their ships to do, and you always have to remember the British might have an eye on the German construction, but they also have an eye on the rest of the world because they have to police the rest of the world.
Yeah, the Germans are building their ships to stand in a line of battle and slug it out with the Royal Navy, knowing that they need to be able to take hits.
Yeah, the Royal Navy is building their ships with the idea that, well, yes, the Germans are the likely threat, but it's kind of like in the 1920s and 30s. The Japanese are the likely threat. But the British can't afford to ignore the Italians. Eventually, the rise of the rise of the Germans, but also the Soviet Union.
Yeah.
You know,
Richelieu, you are hot micing a little bit. Something. Thanks.
Richelieu's also having fun in the Theatre at Sea text discussion about tank procurement.
I know. I'm just leaving that one. I'm just leaving that alone. As long as it doesn't violate server rules, they can talk to their heart's content.
Although, seriously, people suggesting that the UK should have built the M1 Abrahams at that time over BAE
no,
really seem to be forgetting that BAE is the British company.
Yeah, it's only reasonable now if we're looking to. The only time that I think you're ever going to see foreign tank procurement for the UK is basically the niche period we have now. And that's only if the UK government decides to re-expand the tank fleet rapidly. Because the only option at that point is foreign procurement.
Yeah, that's the only option. But the thing is, I don't think that they're going to do it that quickly. They're not going to do it that quickly.
I know. I know they're not. But I'm just saying.
As much as I have to say, I like the KF-51. I will put my hand up. I've have managed to, thanks to having certain friends involved with Rheinmetall, I've had a lot of details come through about it. It's a very cool little tank. But I wouldn't. It wouldn't fit in the UK political scenario at the moment because, honestly, if you. This is going to sound terrible. There are a few things in Britain that we have to basically build ourselves because otherwise the political fight you get into is absurd.
Yep.
And one of those is ship. Remember the whole thing that's caused the fun with Harlem Wolf and the ships being built is remember what happened when we built some tankers in South Korea? It was the sensible deal. It was the cost-effective solution to get those tankers into service.
And they came in under budget.
There was more time spent debating that one decision in the House of Commons that year than the rest of the defence debate combined.
Yeah, and the funniest thing about that is that they came in under budget and early, I believe.
On time, yes. They came in under budget, all four on time. First two delivered early. It was just, it was a great deal. And it was auxiliaries, and the government turned around, but the rules, warships, we don't build warships abroad, we do build auxiliaries. No. And that caused all the fun.
Yeah.
And of course, that was literally, so it's like, I think we could buy, it's like if we had to buy a replacement for the Land Rover Defender, when we have to buy a replacement. If we do not buy something which is built in a UK factory, and at least looks like it's a titularly UK company,
yeah,
it will be an ongoing political debate that will mire the rest of the defense discussion into that debate.
It's not worth the trouble. Like I say, the only reason you might be able to get away with it with tanks now, and that's only if, which they won't, the government decides they want to rapidly expand the tank fleet right now, is that it's the only option. And the only reason you might get away with it now is because of the whole solidarity with Europe and the idea to bulk up European arms production. And we could also they could also spin that by saying, we'll build some here as well.
Yeah.
You could argue we're already doing that, though. Who are we buying the guns for our new tanks off of?
Yeah, I know. Rheinmetall.
Who are we buying the optics off?
Yeah. Foxo, you are being perfectly logical and perfectly correct. But the thing is, the moment you say you're buying the German tank, that's the political issue. As long as you're buying a British tank, it doesn't matter if the components all come from Germany or wherever in the world. You can get around that. The moment it's a German tank, that's when the politics becomes problematic.
Mm-hmm.
It's politics. It's the image of things, not necessarily the reality, which matters.
I just figured out why nobody can hear me say a bloody thing. Anyway,
But you're a woman.
yeah.
I was wondering why so far.
Whoa!
Getting,
Whoa!
well, I got up to get a snack and I came back and I never unmuted myself.
Oy. Right, so the next
It's been
question.
quite funny.
No, hang on. Getting your challengers upgraded done by a German company is much different than getting them built by a German company, though. I will point that out.
Yeah, as long
Yes.
as
Not
as long as
necessarily-
they're built in the UK, you can get around most of the quibbling.
Not necessarily contravening RBG's point or RG whatever your name is.
RBG, random British guy.
You're not contravening your point. Just it's a whole different thing to get an upgrade done by a foreign nation in Europe than it is to get a new construction done by a foreign nation in Europe. Yes, Knight, I was muted. I'm good.
Also, I would. Please remember, there is a great. I think Sphinx Defense has done a great thing about the history of the Boxer and how the UK was involved at the beginning of the Boxer. Then we changed our mind, went off, did all sorts of dozen things we spent money on, and then eventually have got back into the Boxer. And I would argue there's a similar scenario where we've learned our lesson though when we've gone with Ajax, which we're keeping with Ajax. And the whole reason we chose Ajax over CV90 at the time, despite CV90 being the mature, available one being built by BAE, and could have been, was because we were on an anything but BAE bent, which has actually been corrected recently by the British government, which is now doing a level of, if we can find a British company to do the work or supply it first, that's sensible for us to build up our own industry domestically. And when I say recently they've come to this opinion, it's literally been about the last 6 to 8 months. Not sure how long it will last.
Yep.
Not sure how long it will last.
It's the 18th of July, 1914, and out of a sudden, sure, why not? All of the Kaiserlich Marine ships turn into ship girls. This is Lazy Author asking this on Discord. How would that change World War I and the naval battles that occurred during it, especially the Battle of Jutland, if it still happens? I don't know. It's going to depend entirely on how well ship girls can be engaged by normal warships.
Poorly is the answer.
So the High Seas Fleet basically goes absolutely nuts in that case then.
Or, alternatively, because the Thames is quite deep
Oh no.
at London, you could just put them on a plane and, put them on a boat and drop them off in the UK and have them make their way to Westminster where, surprise!
It would more likely be a Zeppelin since it's World War One, but yes.
I said what I said. I stand by it.
Yeah, fair enough. But honestly, yeah, that's basically the options for the Kaiserlich Marine are just insane now. They can do things that were just fundamentally in the realms of science fiction before now. They can sail up to any of the capitals of any of the people they're fighting, pretty much down rivers, and just dictate terms at gunpoint. There's very little that can be done to stop them, unless Dragon and Foxo want to weigh in. But I don't think I'm wrong there. I could be.
I have to restart my PC.
Dragon, do you want to fill her in?
Based Basically, what if High Seas Fleet in where is it? Scroll back up through my list of questions. Because all the Kaiser Marines turn a ship girl have this changed World War One and in the naval battles that occurred, especially the Battle of Jutland, if this still happens, using Azure Lane ship girls as the basis. Thing is, the Germans would still have very few ships, relatively speaking, and still would not be able to contest on a large-scale level. Plus, also, ships girls do get tired. So...
Yep.
Also, this is gonna sound absolutely terrible, but if we consider the worldview of a lot of the senior German officers, etc., and especially the Kaiser, what is their approach going to be to ship girls? How are they going to treat them?
Also, these ship girls are innately honourable, and we actually know that we know from the event that occurred, that explains about them, we do know they actually rather respect the British forces. In both versions of the timeline, our actual timeline and their twisted timeline. For Knight mentioned something about that, but... So, depending on how the Germans treat them, and if the British are still honourable enough in fighting them, they might just go, no, we're leaving.
And the thing is...
There is a small chance they might just go to Britain and just say, we just want to stay out of this war. We're not joining you. Well, if anything, we're basically being interned in almost neutral port. Hell, they might even just go to America for that regard. Or somewhere else. Britain would be the closest, and they respect Britain more than they do the US at this point. So...
They could set themselves up a holiday camp on a certain island off the coast of Germany.
Heligoland Bight, yeah, would be the perfect place. Set up a ship girl.
Would indeed work.
Set up a ship girl republic and say this is our island now.
I'm sorry. Are you telling me they would rename Heligoland Bay Outer Heaven?
Yeah, could see it.
Yeah, probably. Right.
I was trying about rumors and I was going to get that joke.
Next question from YouTube now. YouTube Minecraft Watcher, if you were sent back in time to the Age of Sail, what ship design would you use and why? Honestly?
For what purpose?
Well, if I'm just doing general things, if I have to have a generalist ship for all purposes, give me the biggest, toughest Indianman you can find.
If I want a warship, I'll take a Constitution class built out of seasoned wood.
Because at that point, with an Indianman, I can make my own way in the world if it's my ship. I can trade. Pirates would have to be lunatic to attack me. Because given how historical piracy actually worked, most of their ships wouldn't dare come near an Indianman. Especially not one as heavily armed as mine. I can go anywhere in the world. And I can trade anywhere with any goods I like. I can make myself very, very rich.
Oh, well, I'll take it. In the nicest way, you won't be trading for long.
Yeah, but conscription fleet.
No, I was thinking more about the fact that I would probably be I would get one of those second rates, which were 2-deckers, a 2-decker second rate. And basically, my entire mission will be to hunt fleet ship down and pirate it.
I mean, to be perfectly honest with you, if that happens, I'm making for the Far East. I'll offer my ship to the Chinese as their flagship.
Am I the only one with some sense who would take a 4-masted clipper and just go running around running opium?
It's classic Age of Sail, I think. The clippers,
it's classic Age of Sail.
The clippers.
Which means they should be early. You should have the early 3- and 4-mast clippers then at that point, shouldn't you?
No, the clippers are very.
Not that one.
The clippers are very much inventions made possible post Napoleonic Wars. You can't have a clipper without the technological improvements.
I have gone for something which is literally the end of the Napoleonic Wars.
Yeah, so she had to get an early clipper in then, shouldn't I?
Yeah, you can do if you want.
No, because yours are a bit later than that. So they're a bit later than that.
Or just I can't remember what they're called, but the ships that came before the Clippers, the fast merchantmen. I think they were the twin mast ones. I mean, why would you want to be on a warship? Just go to India and start selling drugs.
Because a large, a two-decker second rate, the large ones which came out at the end of the Napoleonic Wars, that gives me enough hull space. I could be a big cargo ship because basically it is the same. It is the same thing if I want to do, and also gives me enough firepower that if I can basically do some mild piracy as well.
Now, Dr. Clark, are you insinuating that you wouldn't find some small duchy or kingdom that would at least cut you a letter of marque?
My family's done all sorts of interesting things. I just be getting into the family business.
Yeah, but at that point, you've just joined the Navy. Take a large trading ship. Sell opium to the Chinese. Make money.
That's basically what I'm doing. Like, I'm basically... But the reason I wanted an Indian man is I want to be able to stand and fight against pirates.
Why though?
The reason I want a two-decker second rate is I want enough firepower that I can be very interesting in where I go.
Clark, you're always very interesting, regardless of the amount of firepower you have.
Yeah. But this gives me enough firepower to really affect things.
Because let's be real though, the vast majority of pirate encounters was we attack you if you don't pay us a toll to get past here. Most ships just paid the toll,
and and I'll be sat there going.
And if I'm running opium into China or opium into anywhere, I'll have the money to just pay them.
Whereas I probably won't have the money since an Indian is somewhat more expensive to run. But I will have the firepower to just blast my way through any reasonable pirate.
Yeah, but at that point you're in combat. And combat has a high chance of killing you.
Yeah, and you must remember, I will probably have... Whilst you'll be equivalent to a 4th rate in size, so you will have a second deck.
Mm-hmm.
You'll still be a lot smaller than me, so...
And I likely
won't...
won't...
a lot heavier guns.
And I likely will have 12-pounders and 6-pounders. I won't have anything bigger than that.
Whereas I'll have...
Yeah, but you've got to pay the crew to do that.
For me? That's what my family did for centuries.
Listen,
but the point is, you take a large brig, or these large merchant vessels, you sell opium, you pay off pirates, you then retire 15 years later in a nice house because you made a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, all good.
Listen, with a constitution, I'm fast enough to outrun anything that can outright murder me. I'm heavily armed and armored enough that anything that can catch me is going to have a hard nugget to chew on. And
third rate would like a wood.
Yeah.
My second rate, which would has the best length to beam ratio of any Age of Sail ship, would like to have a word.
Just remember what happened to President.
I feel like that's not fair, Dr. Clark, but then again, neither is combat. So, you know. I'm going to continue with my Amerocentrism and just say, yes, I would like a Constitution class built out of properly seasoned timber, please. And thank you.
Okay.
Knight, you've asked that question 5 times. We'll get to it. Knock it off.
As Spiteful says, own a brig, run opium into the canton. Profit.
Oh my god, I'm noticing the guns that are machines are being talked about. So, let me see. Next question is... this one. What would you change on the Wichita design in order to make it more stable while being 10,000 tons? I may get a lot of hate for what I'm about to say. But if you want a stable Wichita carrying 8-inch guns, 3 twins.
This is CA-45, correct?
Yeah. She's built...
Why you... Yeah, thank you.
Hey!
We'll overload him and we'll overload him if we bring it up too much. We will, Ricola. But your Wichita, you. Okay, so Wichita's stability issues. You want to cut her main armament by 50% as your method of fixing her?
30%.
30%, yeah.
I mean,
Sorry.
she's supposed to be she's a one-off, and as we see, you can get good results with 6 8-inch guns. She has the fire control to get results, and it would free up weight for more AA work and radar later in her career.
Yeah, but the thing is that also takes weight out from inside the hull, which is a stability benefit.
I suppose I could take the if I can manage the space, I could swap the twin 5s, so the single 5s for twin 5s. That might get me the weight back internally, because that'll require slightly more complex loading mechanisms. But even then, that might not be enough. It was the only thing my knowledge base was comfortable making a declaration on. I wasn't comfortable messing with anything else with her, because I wasn't sure what the effect would be. Whereas dropping her armament down, I'm fairly certain would gain more stability than it would lose. That's I was basically going off the information I had and the confidence level I was comfortable with.
Honestly, if you want to gain stability in a ship, usually you're going to be talking. You want weight, which is low and center line. So
she's got to be kept at 10,000 tons.
Yes, but
no, she's got to be kept to look like she's 10,000 tons.
No, the question says 10,000 tons. It doesn't say look like. It says 10,000 tons.
Okay. All right, so it's treaty notes. Okay.
Dr. Clark.
Moving the shells out of her barbettes will help first.
Yeah.
But maybe you don't want to do that.
Dr. Clark, I just had a thought.
I would say what I would. Carry on, Fleet.
You've just given me an idea, actually. If we drop down to 6 guns, that frees up weight, right? And we need that weight low down in the hull. What if we give her more power? What if we give her more engine power?
That was actually what I was about to talk. Say. You know, the thing is, you can drop her down to 6 guns, especially if you want to. If you give her the speed to give her a real advantage in maneuverability over opponents.
I mean, at that point, she's zipping. I mean, let me see. How fast was she? Yeah, she was. So she's already a 33 knot ship. We can possibly push her to 34, 35. At that point, whee!
I think you're underestimating just how much weight you're going to save dropping off a gun and its ammunition, plus the decreased size of barbette, decreased size of turret.
Have we created the terror of Guadalcanal at this point? Because you've got an extremely speedy heavy cruiser leading US destroyers around Guadalcanal, cackling hysterically while blatting Japanese destroyers.
The other thing you could do also is you could upgrade her armor. You could upgrade her armor coverage.
I was gonna
coverage.
The coverage mostly. Taking slivers off of armor of the turrets, barbettes, probably also the steering gears, and putting that on the bow belt and the aft belt. That will help a ton.
The other thing
and it's also low on the ship.
The other thing I could see too is take B turret down to a twin and possibly ditch one of the fire directors, because this ship has at least 4 of them that I can see in this one picture. And then take that weight that you're saving and distribute it lower in the hull. YouTube Minecraft watcher, this is not going to even make Wichita get within spitting distance of a battle cruiser, 1 word or 2 words. It's not even going to put it into the framework of large light cruiser. It doesn't have the firepower or the armor. It'll have the speed, but the speed alone is useless for this.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to make it obviously one of the best options for a carrier escort, though.
Mm-hmm.
Because if your carrier's turning into wind, cranking up to full speed as quick as it can, Wichita will be able to keep pace quite easily.
Yep. And if she
And
has
also-
twins, which she might, twin 5-inch, which she might have, that makes her even more effective as a carrier escort.
Mhm.
Who is bothering my doggo? I will be back in a second. Someone is bothering the doggo. Carry on, folks.
Remember, murder is still illegal in the UK.
Oh, Wichita.
It's a good-looking little ship.
Yeah, it is. Also, same kind of lineage as the Brooklyns and the New Orleans class, but already bleeding into the Baltimore a bit. Very nice.
Yep.
Like it. They could have actually done what they did on the Baltimores, which is putting Class A face hardened belt on it, so making that a bit thinner as well on Wichita, because the face hardened layer will help a ton against cruiser caliber shells. That's going to be a very balanced, very nice design. Actually, Dr. Clark, so the Danton turret jam question thing that I had.
Yeah.
Could you tell me about it?
Can you repeat that again? Because I missed
Like,
a bit of that. Something.
You said that the Danton, one of the Dantons or something, when firing the wing turrets or something, jammed the other wing turret.
Yeah, because of the way they were mounted, this is lovely. One of the fun things which comes down with having a naval architect father. He tells you these stories because he gets them from other naval architects, and then you go up and do some research, and you find out there is actually a kernel of truth in it. Anyway, when one wing turret was fired, and it specifically was the port one, when it fired, it had a habit of kicking the starboard one off its rests, so it wouldn't move, and then the turret wouldn't turn. But when the starboard one fired, that didn't kick the port one off its rests. And they could never quite figure out what was going on.
And where can I find more info about this?
I found it. I found it in the French papers of their equivalent of the Institution of Naval Architects, which I trying to remember it. Is it Marine Architect? Is it? Oh, I am always terrible with their name. Because to me, I just got up to the Institute of Naval Architects in the UK, and I see their papers are there as well as the British ones. And so this means I should learn their name, but to me, when I go to consult their papers, I'm just going to the Institute of Naval Architects.
Yeah.
So let me look up. I'm up.
Okay.
Minecraft Watcher. This may have just been mentioned. Unfortunately, I had to deal with United States healthcare system. Or I should call it the wealth extraction system.
They are. I think they are the ENSTA Bretagne.
Oh.
No, I'm not. No, that's not that. I'm not sure if that is them.
But that is
that looks like that's where it's secured. But I don't think that is them. I think that's the course where they teach it. The Royal Institute of Naval Architects is the UK one, and I'm trying to search down the French equivalent to them, their French sister organisation.
And presumably they fixed this issue, or they never did?
They sort of fixed it. They sort of fixed it enough that they were not. It was, yeah, but it was it was one of those things of they were never quite sure they'd fixed it, and for some reason, the Royal Institute of Naval Architects in the UK has a French archive which has the French archives in it, but they don't tell you. They just say, from our French sister organisation.
Poseidon.
Give me the name.
Poseidon over on Discord. I distinctly remember in the business meeting getting the quote to sell fleet, and it was not in the budget to sell fleet. We could not find the money in the budget to sell fleet. So selling fleet, it's not in the budget. Bailing fleet out of English prison, is also not in the budget.
Yeah, it
So-
is. We've just got to find the right Bobby who will set him free for a $5 a pint of Guinness and some cigarettes.
Okay,
Fox,
it's the
no matter how many times I try and run those numbers, we can't even afford that.
Okay, can I just quickly say something? Because it got. Okay, so I looked them up and I found that thing, but I think I found out the reason why the Royal Institute of Naval Architects doesn't state which one it does say to name organization, because France has two: the Association Technique Maritime and Aeronautique, and the Institut Français des Architectes Navals, which I think is the one which I found the papers on. I think it was their paper.
All right. Thanks. Someone asked
But
if the
That was something I looked up years ago, because it was one of the first when I went to the Institute of Naval Architects, and this was the fun thing, because of course I had my dad's stories in my head to try and check what I sort of check his story. I sort of did the first thing of checking his stories. If that's going to sound strange, and was basically research for all his stories. It was also it was a good methodology I found for me to learn their systems and learn their research, learn how to access their research. But yeah, that was a fun one.
nice.
Because it's actually surprisingly more common than you think with the wing turrets. Because the British
I'm just
Invincibles
glad
had
everyone-
wing turrets.
I'm just glad everyone ditched those. To be honest, I'm not a fan.
Yeah, wing turrets were really not good. There were all sorts of issues with them every single time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right,
Someone
thank
had a
you,
question as well.
Thank you for
Sorry,
keeping
can
everything
I-
going. Yeah, go on.
There was a question that someone asks if are improved or more advanced 8-inch guns a possibility on Wichita, like in the Des Moines? No, because the Des Moines 8-inch was twice as heavy as the normal 8-inch on the Baltimore, so that would actually make the problem worse.
Yes. Right, thank you very much for keeping waiting. Sorry I was gone so long. Poor girl was having a little bit of a fit. Calmed her down, put her to bed. Snuggled her all up tight, bless her. She's getting on a bit. So, next is a YouTube question.
Oh no!
Bone Meal Boy.
Can I just say, I think someone's trying to start a fight in the Theatre at Sea chat.
Hey, hang on, let me have a look.
All right, I'll read
Look
off.
at the latest.
What's going on here?
The latest post from your typical gunnery officer is looking like it's trying to start a fight with all the between all different fanboys in the chat.
Okay, I'm going to read off Bone Meal Boy's question and then take a stab at it.
Go on now.
Bone Meal Boy's question is: did Aegis enable the full use of VLS, or did VLS enable the Aegis system? Yes. Arguably, I would say that you could probably tie Aegis into other not quite vertical launch systems, but you are never going to get the full extent of what an Aegis type system is capable of without a VLS array.
I mean, look
at
at
the
what
same
happened.
stroke.
Yeah, look at what happened between the Tychos without VLS and with.
Fleet! Let me finish. Please.
Sorry, go on.
At the same time, you are never really going to get your full potential value out of VLS unless you have a system like Aegis that can rapid fire missiles off to engage multiple threats. They both work together to get the most out of each other, and if you remove one or the other, you will not get 100% out of either system. Apologies, Fleet. I have now completed my point.
No, it's fine. I was at fault there. I let my mind run away with myself, and the mouth just followed.
Don't worry, I know that very well. I just wanted to shove a sock in it. Until
It's fine. Sock
Now
was
I've taken the
deservedly
sock out.
shoved. Basically, just look at the difference between what a Tycho could do when it was twin arm and what a Tycho with VLS can do. That basically is an example of how the VLS basically brought Aegis to its full potential. But you don't need an Aegis system to make full use of a VLS. Ships without Aegis can usually make full use of their VLS systems.
I would make the argument that realistically, without an Aegis type system, a VLS is far more suited to the strike role than the area defense role. But you can still use it for area defense. It's just not quite as effective as you could get with an Aegis system.
Okay.
Well, the point is, with an Aegis system, you can take advantage of your mass launch capability to actually command and control those missiles. That's the thing. VLS and Aegis work well together.
Right. Next question is a Discord question. Meow. Wait for it.
Is it a discordant question?
Very funny.
Much like the discordant appearance of Hosh?
You get a free pass just this once, because I did interrupt you. But just this once.
Whatever helps you sleep at night, Fleet.
He sleeps? I thought he just dreamed of Hosh.
No, I do sleep.
You have to be asleep to dream.
But yes, he generally speaking does need to be asleep in order to dream. And
Are those going to be restful sleeps?
It is on my best information that you are the only one of us that is enough of a mutant to not routinely require sleep. Although Richelieu just gave the most I am dead on the inside look at his monitor, like he's not the only one.
Lazy Author asks on Discord.
You're from Sheffield.
And what's that supposed to mean?
That is sort of like
Careful, Foxo.
the mutant valley of the UK.
Right,
It's
that's
where
it. I'm
all
coming.
the children who are disformed get banished from Leeds.
Right, that's it. I'm coming for your spine.
And like you all grow up there, orphaned by the people from
Yep, I'm coming for your spine.
stuff like Wakefield.
Yeah, you will.
Like not
you
even
will,
the Wakefield one.
You will have your spine removed.
It's okay, I'm from York. You're all scum.
Lazy Author asks, after she basically insulted half the Northerners and therefore started a crusade against herself.
I'm from York.
Lazy Author asks,
North Pass.
It's 16th
It's
of
just
December.
another War to the Roses round, God knows what.
It's 16th of December 1941. Right after Yamato is officially commissioned into active service, she becomes a ship girl. Then later, in 5th of August 1942, the same thing happens to Musashi. How would the IGN react to Yamato and then Musashi? Would they attempt to use them in a more aggressive manner than they did historically? How would the battles the two participated in historically changed? What would the IGN do with Shinano, as well as the 4th Yamato and the 5th one, which was cancelled during planning? And what does the US do with those ship girls? Use Azur Lane as the basis. I don't know that much about the Yamatos in ship girl form, especially not in Azur Lane.
We only have Shinano and Musashi at the moment. So
Yamato's coming this year. And we know Yamato's colour is likely gold.
Is she coming this year?
It's basically what they said. The devs have said basically Yamato is pretty much confirmed to be this year.
Okay. Yeah, I did see that Dishwasher posted some lightly haired colored Yamato, like golden. True.
Well, it's more because Shinano's butterflies are blue, and we've got Musashi's are purple, and we've now got golden ones appearing.
And because Yamato's goddess in Japanese mythology is Amaterasu, and she's the sun goddess, so of course.
So that's why the current assumption is Yamato is the gold one.
I just want to warn you, just because, this way nobody can say you didn't have ample warning. Not that it's going to do much. But Leslie appears to be offering to use you as a Kudo target.
Nope.
Also,
nope.
How would the IGN react to Yamato? Probably worship. Again. Literally like the symbol of our nation just turned into a human.
Literally Amaterasu just came upon us.
We've literally had the descent of a god, and it is in the form of our nation. Okay.
Is there an option that Hirohito gets another wife in this scenario? Because that's what we can see happening. Potentially.
At that point, Yamato might just take over the country, though, with what's being said. Yamato is the great plotter and schemer. they've been controlling everything behind the scenes in AL for Sakura. So you might actually get the Emperor having some power, which could be a
Oh,
bit
good
worrying.
lord! Imagine if she makes friends with Yonai.
Okay, Yonai already had enough power in his corner without having the literal embodiment of one of the most powerful warships ever to be made also in his corner.
That would explain why everyone backed down from his chauffeur. If his chauffeur was Yamato the ship girl, I'd back down from her, wouldn't you?
Honestly, as soon as Musashi's commissioned, it's also interesting because Musashi is much more ready for war in AL. It seems like she feels a lot more willing to engage in battle from what little we have seen. I wish we had more on the Japanese ones.
Shinano just sleeps.
No, she no longer just sleeps.
No, I know, but you know.
Until then, yes. Yeah, Shinano would just be sleeping.
Knight, you appear to have missed the cue. It is not in the archive.
As for 4th and 5th, they probably just don't happen.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. If they're turning in the ship girls, you're going to build them.
Well, no, as in, like, they might build them then, but
Who is
we
that?
have literally no knowledge on what they might be
No.
because unless they become a PR ship, there's nothing for them. Like, so I can't really give any analysis on what.
Do they become more
Who might be.
carriers like Shinano or more battleships or improved Yamatos?
Probably improved.
I would like to say improved, yeah.
Yeah.
And what does the US is probably very, very confused and slightly alarmed.
How do we
Also,
get these girls? We need them too.
Yeah.
God damn it.
But then also it's a case of but now they also now still much smaller range, and there's still not that many of them. We could still cripple Japan economically.
We can.
Yeah.
How do you say this?
The thing is, for the Japanese, they don't use those ships enough as a deterrent factor in the first place. So, and that's really the big thing, because they're building them according to one of their doctrines, which is big ship, big gun doctrine, which is actually a deterrence doctrine, and they don't shout them. You know, it's one reason that doctrine is one of the reasons why they build the battleships they do historically in British yards, so that everyone would know how powerful their ships were, and why they specifically made their ships look like bigger, more powerful versions of the British battleship, because that was to tell the world how powerful they were, and that was part of their deterrence factor and part of their strength. You really want your toy? Then go play with your toy. Stop playing with your toy on my head. Poodles.
Knight, there is no comment from you on brew ships from yesterday that has a modelist on it.
Chat message from
and your message in YouTube chat
is
does
on
not
the latest toy VOD. So that would be the last of the. Give me a second, folks. I'm having to find something from Knight to answer his question, which is the next one that I need to answer. So you'll have to give me just a second. I've got to.
All right.
Here we go. Yeah, this is the finale. Here we go. Let's have a look. Okay. Here we go. Okay, I will now read the question out, and I will actually post a link to the video in the theater. I don't normally do this, but this is because it's related to the question, and I will delete it as soon as the entire mod team, including the two Hoyu enjoyers here, Foxo and Dragon, and Guy as well, have had a look at the mod list, and I will delete it afterwards because I'm not looking to use it to promote my channel. I'm doing it surely for expediency. So this will take you to the mod list. It's the only comment on the video. And I will now read out the question relating to it. 1971, do you like the suggestions for the Hoi 4 mods I gave you yesterday?
I haven't seen them mod. Oh, there we go.
Yeah. Okay, so the British Isles map mod, never really heard of it. State transfer tool, that's the GOAT. Zealandia, not really heard of it. Azure Lane Nations, don't know what it does exactly. Fast Navy building, that's a mistake.
Is that for one mod list?
Even if it is, I'm just going through them one at a time, and then Fast Navy building, that's a mistake. It breaks the game. OP United Kingdom, that's just cheating. No more South American guarantees, that's just cheating. Better mechanics extreme height map, that's a choice you can do. No naval dockyard limits, that's basically cheating. Increased naval production, that's also cheating. Azura Lane, probably a flavor mod, fair enough. Weaken nations, you can do that in the game through options. Tool pack without the errors, that's a very niche mod. You really need to know what you're doing to use it. I would advise not using that. Player-led peace conferences, okay if you're doing single player, but honestly, again, it's as I've said multiple times in our multiplayer games in the dry dock, I don't like it because it tends to give players a little too much control. 25 research slots, that's cheating. Increase of research slots, that's also cheating. Lower cost naval, cheating. Lower cost buildings, cheating. Lower cost air, cheating. Extended timeline, the Cold War and modern era, I haven't heard of that particular mod.
Entire counterpoint about the player-led peace conference one. Player-led peace conference is actually a very recommended mod because of Hoi's janky mechanics, where it doesn't actually give you war score that you are meant to have during your wars. Fleet doesn't tend to like it in multiplayer because players bicker and argue, but there's a reason why most people on the dry dock do actually want to use it, so we can actually have wars that end properly.
Emu, be nice.
But it's also that game. There's 2 changes to the map there that the mod list isn't going to boot.
Yeah, and I would also
Actually, no, sorry. There's 4 mods that change the provinces on the map, which means that it's not going to boot.
Yeah,
you're going to get a map error.
Extended timeline, Cold War and the modern era, I just would drop. There are better mods out there for playing periods outside of the Second World War. All units available, that is something I am gonna have to look at. Because I'm not sure what that will do.
Nope. That's broken as fuck.
Yeah, add Egypt, that's fine. Digital clock front, you can do that if you like. After the naval races, that mod hasn't been updated.
Wait, no. There's 4 tech mods there. You're not going to have working tech trees.
Yeah, and also, yeah. So very quickly, the reason I have highlighted the things that are cheaty mods is not because I'm accusing you of cheating before anyone gets on that bandwagon. It's because you are new to the game. You absolutely do not want to be fiddling with the way in which vessels are constructed and the way in which nations develop and are run. You need to get used to the way in which the game runs. And there are a lot better mods I can recommend you for doing some of the things you seem to want to do than the ones you've got. So my advice would be play at least 1, ideally 2 campaigns as a nation of your choice. Get the basics under your belt so you know how the game handles and get a feel for how you want to play it. And then once you've done that, come back to me with a fleet. What mods do you suggest? I have played the game and I want to do this, this, and this. And then I will be happy to point you in the direction of mods that will absolutely suit your playstyle. But for now, my recommendation would be... Go on.
That Hoi is balanced around its build cost. Any mod that reduces build costs fundamentally breaks the game. And to use an anecdotal example, you probably won't know, but there's a guy called Benno that plays Hoi with us. He did essentially what you did here, and it's taken him 4 to 5 months to unlearn bad habits from these mods. Because
Go ahead.
Play vanilla. Play 1 or 2 campaigns of vanilla as the nations you want to learn as. Then come back and ask me a question that basically is, Fleet, I've played a few games of Hoi 4. This is what I've learned. This is what I like. This is what I want to do. Do you have any suggestions? Because at that point,
you must have a naval mod.
Vanilla Navy rework.
Vanilla Navy rework.
That is the
do not put any cost reductions on top of it.
No, that is the only mod I would recommend you opening with from the start, because given how you understand navies, as in the actual real life way navies work, you will actually be better able to understand vanilla naval rework than you will be able to understand the base Hoi 4 naval system.
Agreed on that one. The base Hoi 4 naval system doesn't really work.
I'm going to also add in here, because I yelled at Knight for this before, and now I need to hold up my end of the bargain. When we say play it vanilla, you said you got, I think it was the starter edition or something like that. Like, you didn't get a just bare bones Hoi 4 basic box edition. That's fine. That is still vanilla. Usually with developer-made DLC,
that's not. Yeah,
it is something that you can either ignore or turn off inside the game client. And on top of that, it is often balanced by the same balance team that Dragon.
I wish, but no.
It is often balanced by the same balance team that balanced the original game, so it shouldn't unbalance it too badly.
Yeah, with
mods.
Yeah.
Whereas mods can completely throw the balance out the window, as Fleet and Foxo pointed out.
Yeah.
So playing a special edition is not necessarily a modded version.
No, you should.
I've got to drill into him one thing though. Any mod that changes the map in any way, not who owns tiles, but the shape and the provinces in those tiles, adds new land, takes away land, will not be compatible with another mod that does it.
Mm-hmm.
For example, to use a meme mod, there is a meme mod that removes Denmark and Finland from the game. As in, those two cease to exist. But that mod would not work with Zealandia, because you'd get a map build error.
Yeah.
Which makes the game physically unplayable because it can't load up a map. Because the province IDs aren't correct on its end.
Yeah.
Also,
Which is why
I could
do
say
not
that
touch the map unless you're playing a Road 56 or the Cold War mod or Millennium Dawn.
Or any of the other total reworks. But you shouldn't touch those until you have gotten comfortable with the normal period of history that Hoi deals with.
Of all the Mashy Road to 56, he probably actually could.
Yes, Knight. Using the Vanilla Navy rework using Vanilla Navy rework is a recommended mod for your particular case.
It's a very unique thing, though. It's a unique thing that applies to basically only you and others who are like us, because it actually makes the Navy easier to understand and more fun.
It makes the Navy more complicated, but for people who are into naval history, it makes it more complicated in a way we understand.
Yeah.
Because Vanilla Navy's ship designs are dumbed down to the point where they don't make sense for most people.
I will have you know that I am just the specialist little snowflake, and there is no one like me.
Well, yes, Ruinon, of course you are.
Also, I know Ruinon said it, but no. Do not assume the Hoi DLCs are balanced. They are not.
But even so, if you have DLC, they shouldn't turn it off.
Broken.
Yeah, you should not turn it off.
No, you shouldn't turn it off, but this does not change the fact that certain DLCs are innately brokenly overpowered compared to others.
Yes. Like I said, they were balanced by the same balance.
No, they weren't.
team.
The Paradox to balance team has changed like 7 times since Hoi 4 was released.
Yeah.
They're helpful.
It's not even the same
Same
balance
name
team.
on the kit.
Hey, we're not doing too bad tonight. I've had some really good questions. I'm really enjoying it.
They have, yeah. They didn't even
I
have
feel
the
like
same
Dr.
management
Clark
team
might
for
be
the
having a
balancing.
stroke.
Uh,
I think Ricklu is having an out-of-body experience with a fish.
Also, is that a model of actual Concorde, or is it the Lego Concorde? Or I should say a standard model of
Lazy-
I'll
Concorde.
show
lazy-
you. I'll show you.
Lazy
One
Author
second.
is also starting to become a little bit gunnery officer.
Hmm?
The questions.
It's not been that bad.
Dragon, you should ask. You should not ask a Frenchman what he does with a fish.
Fish.
I'm more interested in the White Swan.
Le fish chocolat. Lazy
Which does indeed
Author.
look like a Lego one.
Lazy Author San
Would you
asks.
please use your French standard guillotine on Flea? It's being
Which
annoying.
is very cool.
Yeah.
Here it is.
Lazy Author asks, it's 30 September 1954. President Eisenhower is told that the USS Nautilus has turned into a girl right after it was sponsored during its commissioning ceremony. How does he react to that? Then, on 30th of March 1957, the same thing happens to Seawolf. Then, in 1958, unknown to the West, the same shenanigans happened to the Soviet K-3, Leninsky Komsomol submarine. And yes, the USS Enterprise CVN-65 also becomes a ship girl when she is commissioned. How would the public react to the fact that nuclear power plants cause ships to become girls? How would navies across the world react to that? How would this affect the use of nuclear power in ships?
They've stopped
this would
doing
be-
it.
This would be highly amusing, and they'll go, nuclear power apparently gives sentience and flesh and blood bodies to things. Okay,
They're only to
Russians,
ships, funnily enough.
can we do this more?
How much do you want to bet that the Enterprise's ship girl form is perpetually cold?
It would be an incredibly interesting situation,
Yeah.
especially if this is broadcast to the nation sort of thing.
I can speak from experience in that my body temperature hasn't changed as much, but I'm always cold since I started HRT. Unless it's summertime, in which case I'm melting. But anyway.
Yeah.
As someone who has run on both hormone mixes during their life,
Are you sure, Runon, you're not just cold-blooded?
according to my father, I am. And my mom is also similarly cold resistant, but also has hands of ice.
There's no shame in it. There were cold and warm-blooded dinosaurs, and everyone
Are you
loves
a
dinosaurs.
dinosaur? Because if so,
Are you calling Rui a dinosaur?
I says everyone loves dinosaurs, so that's a compliment. Yeah.
I don't have that
Yeah.
type of autism.
Rui? You're old enough to be a tiny dinosaur. How do you feel?
I'm what? The second oldest person on this panel, maybe the third oldest.
I don't know.
How old's our French friend?
I'm 25.
Okay, I'm older than you, so that leaves Mr. Guy DeLorean.
Am I the
25.
youngest here then?
Okay, I'm the second.
Oh, why am I
oldest
the
person on-
youngest?
Yes, you are.
And
Because you're... Because you
Well,
are.
I'm 26. That's something.
Behold.
Lead is old.
I'm only a year older than you.
I'm
You
Here
are an
see
old man.
Barry, 26.
I am not
from
an
the
old
cast
man.
of the Sheffield.
Well, Fleet, let me ask you a question then.
Oh boy.
What is your opinion on Arctic monkeys?
Arctic monkeys?
Honestly, I have no firm opinion one way or the other. I know they exist, but I've never really heard their music.
You're old.
We have an interesting theory from Mark Harness. It is accepted that all nuclear girls love spicy foods, whereas Nagato and presumably Saratoga do not tolerate spicy foods well at all.
Okay.
Okay,
But
it
also-
sounds like Mark is trying to say that all nuclear girls are Latinas.
That's something.
I mean, okay, let's be real here.
Believe it.
Have you seen the AFs on some of our nuclear carriers?
I'm gonna leave that to you, Ren, so
No,
that-
I'm not. I'm
not
not
me.
touching. I'm not touching that one with a 10-foot
It's just-
pole.
It's just, in my experience, and this is having dated both 2 Spanish girls and a lady who's half Icelandic, half Italian in my history, all 3 of which were redheads as well.
Damn, lucky man.
Sure.
Lucky, yes.
Hmm.
I'm alive as well. That was not always a guarantee. I felt at certain points. I'm still friends with them all, so I can say that. Yeah, in my experience, that they were the ones who really liked the spicy foods, to the
Mhm.
point that I believe I have no spice tolerance at all in comparison to them, and I quite like some spice in my food, but compared to them, I was. Yeah. The dried chili mix was salt, pepper. The dried chili mix came out and everything.
But yes, if Richelieu is going to broadcast his beautifully assembled Concorde model, I feel obligated to put forth my A-wing model.
Good.
The
We are
guns
going
rotate.
up.
I have no idea
going up.
why, but the guns rotate.
Whoosh.
Because why not?
Fair enough.
It has the zoomies. That is the
Now I
official
just need
term
them-
here.
Now I just need them to make a UCS B-wing.
Okay, so that's that.
Do not make me
Please don't
post my.
mention it.
Do not make me post my UCS Venator.
Okay, so YouTube Minecraft. Oh boy. If Imperial Germany was given the Bismarck class battleships and the U-boat fleet of the Third Reich, all 1,300 boats ranging from Type 7 to the Type 23, which would be the most useful? The U-boat fleet? That's a weapon to win the war in 6 months,
Yeah.
if that.
In World War One, it would be, because the nice way there's no preparation for it at all.
That's just, you send them out, and within, like, they hoover up basically every operational merchantman on the high seas.
Yeah.
Without, and honestly, to be blunt, given the capabilities of things like Type 23s and Type 21s, they could, and honestly, heck, even Type 7s, you could make reasonable attack runs on Scappa on a regular basis.
Don't the defense around Scappa, even in terms of torpedo nets and in terms of those things, are fairly robust. You could certainly loiter in the area of Scappa, but I don't know if necessarily you'd make runs on Scappa, if that makes
I mean,
sense.
they could just snorkel near Scappa until a large sortie occurs, and then just bang. That's it.
Yeah.
I would also say that while you could probably get I feel like a fresh out of the yard QE versus a fresh out of the yard Bismarck. I'm not going to say that QE wins it, but I'm going to say that there's enough QEs that they'll win eventually.
Oh, basic, nicest way. The adding the 2 Bismarck class, they're great ships, but the main advantage is going to be their radar in terms of giving the high seas fleet a heads up of what's coming. The sheer number of ships coming is going to be the problem.
There's also a niche role.
And the radar is not going to be enough detailed enough. They're going to be able to work out whether they're engaging HMS Dreadnought or HMS Queen Elizabeth.
Yeah. Politely, the Bismarcks are honestly, with their absolutely insane range and long legs, they are better served punching out through the blockade and just becoming a pair of absolute nuisances to the British abroad across the high seas, and then coming back in whenever they need resupply. Because politely, if they crank up to 30 knots for the run out and then crank up to 30 knots for the run in, politely, what are the British going to put in front of them?
Richelieu, do you
Renown,
need to
renown,
stomp on us
repulse,
like that?
glorious, furious, and courageous.
Oh, that's gonna be a yeah, good. Well, I guess those ships are dying.
And a whole load of destroyers.
Yeah, like it's the destroyers that are gonna have to do the legwork there because I know we rag on Bismarck and Tirpitz, but I'm sorry. The difference in capability compared to as-built Renown, Repulse, and the 3 experimental MacGuffins that Fisher wants.
You probably would also have Tiger, Queen Mary, maybe Lion and Princess Royal as well.
But even then,
Tiger and Queen Mary can do 28 knots.
But even then, they're still fulfilling their purpose. They're tying up a big chunk of the RN's fast wing by doing this.
Tying up the entirety of the fast wing, realistically.
Which means that the battle cruisers can actually go out and break the blockade.
To deal with them, you possibly actually have to call the Japanese Congos.
Yeah. Honestly, you are gonna have to. You're gonna have to.
And the whole idea of the admirals being something which is held off and built, it's probably going to be a fast battleship design. It's going to have to be built.
Yeah.
Really.
But unfortunately, this is all going to be rendered
moot. And Runon. I think Rickleu and Runon are currently having a competition over who can have the biggest space construct in front of them.
See, Rickleu wins this hands down. I have one card and it's been played.
Right. That's it. Realistically, we need Glyn Stewart here because Glyn is the one I know who has the largest collection.
Although, unfortunately, just to finish off this question quickly, it doesn't matter what the Bismarcks are up to, politely, because the 1,300 U-boats render the entire point moot. The Entente is basically brought to the table aggressively quickly. And that's Britain, that's France. And this isn't a the British get to go out with a peace with honor. No, this is a total surrender.
Yeah. This is an annihilation so bad that the Americans get worried.
Yeah, because the Americans will realize that we're next.
There you go. Right, there's the first card of my counterattack then.
Gunnery officer. Gunnery officer asks on Discord. Do you think the Type 83? Does he mean the Type 83? Yes, he does, because the 43 is the Cold War one, the 83 is the current one. Right, I keep getting them confused. Is going to be better and more capable than a Burke Flight 3, and also stealthier than a Zumwalt. Can it compete against the Type 55 and the Sejong the Great? I feel like, first of all... Yeah, right, honestly, you take this one.
Alright, let's put it this way. A Type 83 is a British general purpose destroyer being designed to replace the 45s. It should be better than Arleigh Burke, even a Flight 3, because it's going to be a newer design, and it's going to be a completely new design from the ground up. So it should be better than a Burke. If it isn't better than Burke, when it's roughly 40, nearly 50 years younger, even though the Flight 3 is a highly upgraded design, it's a highly upgraded 40-year-old design, then there is a problem, and the British government should probably be asking for its money back, if not the taxpayers asking for its money back. So that's not a question. Will it be stealthy in a Zumwalt? Probably not, because the Zumwalt was designed with a high degree of stealth as a primary facility. The Type 83 is going to be designed with stealth as a facet of operation. It's a factor in it. It's not going to be as stealthy. It's a thing of its different missions. Its closer mission profile is probably what's going to be interesting is how it compares to the DDGX. When that eventually comes out, that's going to be the closer in profile to it. And again, if the DDGX comes out afterwards, I would hope the DDGX is better, because theoretically, if you produce something more recently, it should be better now. The one thing which might mitigate against the DDGX being better is the Americans are looking at this as a volume of something they're going to produce a large number of, whereas the British are looking at the Type 83s as exquisite. So it could be a scenario of Astutes and Virginias and Seawolves. Whereas when the American build a Seawolf, and the Astute, Seawolf and Astute are very similar in capabilities. The Virginia, the Astute slightly edges it in certain capabilities, but that's because for the British it is worthwhile because they're only building so much, investing that extra money. Whereas for the Americans, it's a case of we'll just send a second Virginia because they have that many Virginias if they want that level of combat capability. So that's the difference in scenario. If you're building a fleet of 90 vessels, you don't necessarily look at the same price point or individual capability of the vessel as if you're building a fleet of 6.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I'm going for, is it worthwhile me? Let's say if it's a cost of, if I have a certain amount of money, I can buy 90 of this unit. But if I build them the same grade as the other fleet is building 6, I can maybe build 70. Well, which is better for me, 70 units or 90 units? If I'm a major empire, a major presence in the world, it's 90 units, isn't it? Always going to be the 90 units. Because of the extra operational ability that gives me.
And just
but if I'm a small power building it, then I might well be incentivized to go for the slightly better, slightly more powerful individual units, because I'm only going to crew 6 or 8 of them. I'm only going to run 6 or 8 vessels, so therefore it's advantageous for me to get the most power out of those individual ships as possible.
Just so I can say this as the mod, Knight, be nice. If Team U can't call you a cheater, you can't call somebody else a wereaboo.
Yeah, like, come on, that's not... Yeah, come on, guys, let's keep it civil.
Yeah.
So that's been done.
Your typical gunnery officer, we just completed... My brain just phased out. The next question is one from Knight about the Vault Vindicator.
Yeah, 9731 asks, would the Vault VF-156 Vindicator been better than an option than the underpowered Lorry Newport LN-401? So the LN-401 is an aircraft that... It did enter limited production. But they were actually working on it continually. They had a version called the LN-42 that got rid of the gull-wing and had a much more powerful engine. But it obviously... I think that it's a better design... The Vault Vindicator probably would have been a better option for the French to get carrier-based dive bombers quickly, but the LN-401 has much more room for growth. The French were still iterating the design as they were falling over sideways with panzers knocking on their door. What it might have been had France not fallen...
Because the Joffre class weren't at the point at which they needed to start ordering to have the squadrons ready for them to enter service.
Yeah.
So they had time to iterate. That's the thing. People go, oh, why don't they have this thing ready? And you still go, well, they're being made ready for the Joffre class, and look at the timeline for the Joffre class.
Mm-hmm.
They are perfectly on schedule and fine schedule for that. Also, why would you go, I want to have these aircraft ready now, and you have the aircraft ready 2-3 years in advance, and so they're considering the pace of technology, they're now 2-3 years behind the level of tech they could be. Before the carrier enters service. No, you want to have roughly the aircraft enter service about the same time as the carrier, or at least enter full rate production about the same time the carrier is going through its trials and commissioning.
Okay, on Discord now, Lazy Author asks. It's a few days before the historical Battle of Trafalgar, and off the harbour of Trafalgar, Spanish and French sailors see a metallic ship approaching as it flies the French tricolour. As it gets closer, it is revealed to be the ugliest ship those poor men have ever seen in their lives. The Marine Nationale
not again.
Hoche. How would her presence change
that
Battle
wouldn't be the ugliest ship they'll ever see. There's still the Carnot in the world. We've been over this.
Yeah.
The Hoche is ugly. Does require an eye test after you've seen it. But the Carnot
is horrific. And the fact
Carnot with her white and black paint scheme is kind of interesting, though.
Yeah, I'm sorry. The way she looks when she's got all her flaps open is just. The other members of the Charles Martels look way better.
I would say she has a good paint scheme, but the thing is, the paint scheme is struggling against the overall Carnot.
Yeah,
so the paint scheme looks good. The Carnot, though, it's
Yes,
You're
yes,
putting
I know.
lipstick on a pig.
Yeah. How would her presence
know.
change the Battle of Trafalgar and potentially the rest of the Napoleonic Wars naval campaign, as well as the mental health of the poor French sailors and officers? Well, let me be clear. Hoche, as long as she has coal and ammunition, is an existential level threat to the...
Those 138s, just those 138s on their own.
Yeah, I know.
Are... Yeah.
Yeah.
The Battle of Trafalgar is a French victory.
Yeah, which dramatically improves the mental health and morale of the French sailors and naval officers, because suddenly not only have the thing is, honestly, to be perfectly blunt with you, the best way to use Hoche is to actually not have her solo Trafalgar. The best way to use her is to have her help them win Trafalgar strategically, then have her solo the fleet waiting in the Channel.
Yes.
I do also agree. I do also agree with Admiral Wellesley. Just scrap her.
Okay.
But after the battle.
As much as I rip on Fleet for his absolutely bizarre love of the Hoche, in this question, the Hoche represents an outside context problem. As long as the Hoche is mechanically fit for service
and has ammunition, and
yes, I would consider that to be part of mechanically fit for service. The Hoche is just a romping, stomping, unstoppable force.
She's also She's also one of the fastest ships on the high seas. Funnily enough,
She's also reliably fast. She's not dependent upon wind.
Yeah, she can do 16 knots flat out if she's pushing herself.
Yeah,
but in reality, she'll probably crawl about though, both to save her machinery and to sort of stick with the ships of the line she's working with. It also means she'll sip coal rather than drain her bunkers really quickly. Honestly, if she's there and her officers and men know what's going on, politely, you might not even get Trafalgar. She might just roll northwards, bypass the British fleet entirely, and just clear the Channel.
Now that's an interesting alt history scenario.
Yeah, it is, but the trouble is she's also, considering her speed and the capability of her engines to sustain that speed, she will certainly achieve local area control, but I don't know if she would achieve channel control. I think she would achieve dominance wherever she was, as long as the enemy were in range of her guns. But I think the British probably still retain... Let me put it this way, I don't think the French get Command of Sea. I don't necessarily know the British sustain it, but because she's only one ship, that's the trouble. It's one ship, and she can only be in one place at a time.
This is why I'm saying the place to send her is the Channel. Because that's what, that's what Napoleon wants. Napoleon wants to get his army into the UK.
There is one problem I see with this. The Royal Navy has a very famed tradition of people who are completely insane.
Yeah.
You now just gave them a very big target that is very, very dangerous. Someone's gonna suggest boarding her.
Dr. Clark, would you like to take a stab at how much prize money would be on the table for any crew which managed to capture the Hoche?
levels of
Let me put it this way. In the nicest way, the captain who was in charge would be probably made a duke. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah, I would also...
One question.
Go on.
How many sailors were there, more or less, on like Napoleonic warfare, man of war, ship of the line?
It varies.
Like a first rate.
For a first rate.
I don't know. Something you would use to board Hoche with. I don't know.
The problem is
a lot of crew.
The problem is it can't be a first rate.
Oh, yeah.
It can't even be a big ship. It's got to be something nimble and something quick. Ideally, lots of something.
It would be boats. She'd be rested up in port, and they would send in boats.
They will send.
And the boats would come from they would send an entire fleet's worth of boats in there. So in the nicest way, it would. You've got You've got roughly 1,000 crew on a first rate. It goes down from there. But honestly, it's like they did before. If you consider the cutting out operations the British did and the various operations they do, you probably get every ship launching about half a dozen boats, and you probably have the full Channel Fleet launching all their boats to do it.
And honestly, politely,
to try and get a border.
And honestly, politely, at that point, it may even not still work. Because the reason I say that is because when she's at sea, she will probably have Napoleonic era small arms used by her crew. Her own small arms will be retained for the one place where she is vulnerable. Stationary in port.
Ooh, the problem is they don't have much ammunition for that, and they probably.
That's why they're retained for the one area.
Try and get them to know how to use.
Yeah, but also, you're thinking of it as a mass loud attack. I'm thinking it more of a case of. Well, think what Cochrane would try and do.
They're going to try and set up a powder magazine. That's the way.
They're going to try and capture her, and they're going to try and do it by stealth.
Yeah, but the problem is that they've no idea how to raise steam in her. And they can't sail her. She has no rig.
Do they Cornish engineers are available who work in mines?
No, I'm sorry. The problem you've got is No, I'm sorry. I understand what you're saying, Dr. Clark, but I'm gonna have to put my foot down. No.
No, they're going to try and capture her.
Yeah, they're going to try,
and they're going to try and get her out.
But it's not going to work.
Yes, they might end up having to blow her up. But the other thing they might consider is trying to tow her out with the boats.
Good luck with that. But I also want to point two things out, and please let me finish both points. First is that there's been steam engines of varying sorts, especially in the mining industry, for a while by the time you get to steam and steel. Two, so it's not inconceivable that they couldn't pull a Cornish engineer who is familiar with a steam engine as a concept that could then fumble their way to get Hosh out. Hang on. To get Hosh out of port without causing a boiler explosion. It would be a lot of natural 20s, but it could happen. It's plausible. Two,
we have seen stranger things happen. Go on.
Dragon. With regards to the ammunition issue, the biggest thing with the Hosh's small arms is going to be that they are built at all. You have percussion caps in the Napoleonic era. What they need to make
compressed gunpowder and the ammunition.
Yeah, what they need to make
the metallic cartridges are going to be an issue.
The metallic cartridges will be a bit of an issue, but we still have early like pinfire stuff.
Exceptionally early, but yes.
It's going to be very expensive to make cartridges for those weapons, but it can be done. And if you are in a shipboard situation, you won't be able to recover all of the expended brass. You will be able to recover at least some of the expended brass.
And at that point, once it's been expended, you can use it for experimentation.
And you can reload.
What I love is a train aficionado like Fleet is betting against Richard Trevific.
I was about to mention him because I was about to say I have neglected one Cornishman, and that's Richard Trevific.
Yeah.
And I will point out that he will literally march him. He will ride on his road locomotive all the way to Parliament and literally probably dragging James Watt with him and say, you know what? How you have constantly in this house used your leverage with low pressure steam to spite me because high pressure steam is dangerous and isn't the future. The ship that nearly tore its way through the channel, that destroyed a good chunk of the Channel Fleet, and nearly led a successful invasion of Britain that was only stopped by every single man we had coming to the coast and shelling the wooden barges it was escorting. And you're now telling, and you want to...
You can claim all this now, but you earlier ago, not that long ago, you were saying he couldn't figure it out.
No, I'm not saying that he can figure it out, but
he couldn't figure it out.
No,
Richard Trevific.
Oh no, there's something far better he can do.
Cornish engineers.
No, there's something far better he can do. he can start working on self-propelled Royal Navy warships. If Watt and
he probably will do.
if
After he captures it.
Watt and Trevithick come together, Watt can build big engines. Trevithick understands the dangers and requirements of high-pressure steam. Put the two of them together, you can have powered ships of the line in about honestly 3 years after Trafalgar, and you'll have gun manufacturers working on large muzzle-loading cannon to try and
Can I
deal with
propose
this thing.
something? Can I propose something funny? Everyone here knows Halo, probably, right? You know, in the High Charity, they have a Forerunner ship powering the entire thing. Imagine this, but Hosh powering the entirety of London.
Gentlemen, and lady, I hate to bring our attention to such a concerning matter, but on YouTube chat, Bone Meal Boy has said, "I like the Carnot."
I do too. Listen, okay? She's very weird with all of her scuttles, but I think she is interesting in a certain way.
But yeah, so that's basically the long and short of it. It basically could give, if handled correctly, it honestly, if Dr. Clark, very quickly, if Napoleon gets ashore in, he's gone.
No,
I'm listening. I'm here.
If Napoleon gets ashore in strength, can the British put forces in the field to stop him? And if Hosh is securing his supply line behind him?
Also, the British have various defensive lines in place to try and stop him once he gets ashore. There's a whole military canal dug. But the British are paranoid about him landing.
But even the fact that he got ashore and made it to the canal defense line will probably be enough for the British to go, okay, let's actually have a hashed out peace. At least for as long as the British can react to the monster that made it all possible.
This is such an interesting scenario for so many technologies.
It is. It really is.
Like, them just touching the steel. What is this material? It's so hard. We cannot even scratch it.
Yeah.
Seriously. Nice.
Well, they'd be more interested in how could you afford to make enough steel to build a warship out of?
How can they get the rifling so precise to such a degree of precision for so long of a length inside of the bore?
But honestly, I would say the biggest problem for that ship is going to be if it does. Thinking it through. If it is used to secure the landing zone. Because what you've just said, Fleet, about it being you defending its base, etc. The place that will be most exposed will be the landing area where the amphibious ships are going in, where they're landing the ships, and that's also going to be the area where it's most easy to sneak ships in.
Yeah.
And try and nick it.
Yeah, or honestly, like there may be a Hail Mary at that point. Swarm her.
Yeah.
Dogpile as much of the RN's strength in as you can. While she's providing support or basically sitting off as a do not come near here. Like the French will probably have ships of the line providing the shore bombardment, and Hosh will be there, basically as a do not come near us. But that is basically the point where the British basically have to commit. Just full send it.
Yeah.
Knowing Napoleon, he would probably put the entire old guard inside of Hosh.
And yeah, so the old guard with their muskets, and then you've got the rifleman of Hosh herself. She's going to be a very difficult target to board.
He's going to have to, because there's going to be a very, very select number of crews that you are going to put on Hosh that are not going to be swayed by the amount of prize money that they could earn by turning that ship over to any foreign power.
The crew herself won't, because A, they are French, and most importantly, they are post-Franco-Prussian War French. This is a chance to undo all of that.
I would say that the vetting that you would need for that crew would probably be akin to the vetting we put our SSBN crews through nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
Just saying. I'm not saying that
It would be
people are
interesting.
treated by nature, but I am saying that that's a lot of money that's being offered.
Yeah.
That's going to be offered for control of that vessel.
YouTube Minecraft Watcher asks on YouTube, funnily enough, would privateers have been useful during the World Wars? The privateer came to its natural conclusion in a somewhat changed form with the concept of the armed merchant cruiser and the Hilfskreuzer, which differs from a traditional privateer in that it was a merchant ship, aka a civilian vessel, to which monies were paid to have it strengthened to support naval guns to be taken into Navy service in a time of war. Unlike traditional privateers, where it was a private ship or an individual given a letter of marque to go out and raid enemy shipping on behalf of another government. It's the closest thing to a privateer that you can realistically get in the modern steam and steel era, given the costs involved in maintaining a ship and the tighter rules on international warfare and regulation.
Well, even just the upfront capital is way too much. If I am looking at it from a business perspective, if I'm looking at, privateering as a way to make income, it's way too risk for way too little, or way too much risk for way too little reward in that era.
Mm-hmm.
Ships are too powerful. The cargoes, if I am looking to make money, the cargo valuation, it's all bulk goods. And the bulk goods just do not fetch a high enough price to make it worth it.
And politely, like I say, you can't really do it as a private individual anyway, owing to the international regulations. Like I say, the closest you get is you basically, as a shipping operator,
putting that to the side for the minute, it just doesn't make economic sense.
Basically, it doesn't. But like I say, as a shipping operator, the closest thing you get to privateering is buying into the government contracts or accepting the extra money to have strengthened decks to carry deck guns, so your ships can be taken into service as armed merchant cruisers at the outbreak of hostilities. That's the closest thing you get to privateering. In terms of civilians doing things to their ships for that role.
Money. Yeah, pretty much. But also, there's also the legal changes as well, which have affected these things.
Yeah. Right. Thank you, everybody, so much for coming. We have now reached we just passed the 3-hour mark. And because I do want there to be a catch-up ramblings on Friday, we will be calling this here for today. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching and listening. Thank you to Richelieu, Dr. Alex Clark, Ruinon, Dragon, Foxo, The Dutchman, and Conron for coming. Obviously, tune in tomorrow on Twitch for the Rule the Wave stream. The Confederacy is at war with the United Kingdom, and I have an exceptionally modern fleet of powerful battleships and carriers, and I'm absolutely going to thrash the RN over its coattails.
Doubt it.
I did it once before.
It's so unusual for our francophone fleet to be quite so joyous about beating up the Royal Navy.
So you're gonna beat the Royal Navy with the weapons you bought from them?
No, bought from them. I built them myself.
Oh, you're talking about the Confederate Blakely, Brooke rifles and such like?
No. It's the 30s. It's the mid-30s.
Okay.
It's Rule the Waves. Yeah. It's Rule the Waves 3. That's the stream.
Never mind.
But yeah, so hopefully a lot of you will come down for that. If not, I'll see you for the next Rambling stream, because I know some of you are here primarily for the Ramblings, and that's fine. As long as people keep turning up, that is absolutely fine. But I do hope that I will see some of you tomorrow.